is 7-6 left. Freiburg goes for the kill. He's going to pick it up. If just exists survives, he's going to win the round. There's no time. Oh my God, Freiburg, are you kidding me? Win the round because of it. Freiburg is going to be good.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Alphadraft by the Numbers. I'm your host Richard Lewis, bringing you this Counterstrike podcast extraordinaire, and with me, as always every week, of course, it is the second half of the package. It is Duncan Thorin Shields. So how are you doing, Duncan? Because I know you got absolutely fucking wrecked because our clocks have gone, I think, forward or back or something. Basically, you've got wrecked on the deal somehow. It's later where you are.
Well, it's earlier.
Just what you need.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. It's later, but yeah, luckily I'm all right. I already had it planned to be around now. If I'm one half of the package, well, I mean, presumably that means you're the balls, Rich, because you're like going out there putting these stories out, and I'm just the massive dick that hangs around with you, swinging around. So I think that describes the package, right?
The main problem we've got is though that my head does look like a bell end. So that's like the maybe you're just sort of the meat in the middle of the package. I'm the balls and the head, the brains in many ways. I don't know. Fuck knows. Dick analogies. It's too late, mate. I'm fucking wrecked. Why are we doing a podcast?
So it's very much like that scene in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, where he reaches into a kid's head and pulls his brains out and says, "You're the brains and I'm the brawn." Oh, he reaches into his own head and does it. Says, "I'm the brains and you're the brawn." So yeah, reference came on point, Rich. 90s movies haven't even been seen.
If it ain't from the 80s or the 90s, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want your fucking dog shit references. So, yeah, anyway, apparently the cams are a little blurry. Sam's going to fix that while we're doing this shit. But look, let's just start with some general stuff. Like, in fact, I'll ask you, mate. You can give me some input. Should we start with a rundown of the major and then move into news? Or because the major might be the thing you want to end on, do we want to do the news first?
Let's do the news
first.
To you.
Right, okay, let's get into it then. So we'll get some quick stuff out of the way. I see Winterfox added 2 players, Flowsick and Desi. They've been out there in the NA marketplace for a while. So Winterfox, now that it's been fully confirmed that Devil Walk is going to stop down after joining in July. They've finally managed to put this lineup together, which is going to be XP3, of course, the French veteran going way back in 1.6. You've got Lex, you've got Anger, you've got Flowsick, and you've got Desi. Now, I've got to say, I always thought, like back in the Pyth days, that this was going to be a potential sleeper team back when it was Luminosity. Now that it's part of Winterfox and they've gone through all of these changes, never really been convinced by them. So does the addition of Flowsick and Desi, does that give them more cohesion? They've driven out the dirty Euros. Is this going to be a better team?
Sorry, I just saw a tweet there, Rich, that just wrecked me completely. So, like, one sec, I'll just compose off. I'll just tell you right now, Richard, it's not even a big deal, but I was just looking at HLTV.org, as I want to do, and I saw a thread that apparently is about Makalele's ex-girlfriend, and all the tweet says, Rich, it just says, "You guys, being with a guy incapable of giving you orgasms will get you sexually frustrated. Soz XD." Anyway, that has nothing to do with this news.
No. Fuck Winterfox. What the fuck is going on? fuck
it's wrecked me, man. That's just so salty. It's unreal. Apparently, people on HLTV are claiming it's Makale's ex-girlfriend. I'll link you to it now. Her name's Katja Morgan. I mean, here's the thing. I've heard of a lot of ego shit, like, girls coming out and like spreading lies about you or saying something about your team or revealing something you've done. But I've never heard anyone come out and just go, "Motherfucker couldn't give me no orgasms." That'll get you frustrated. You know about that, girlfriend? I've never heard that as like the outburst.
Do we have any verification that this is anything to do with Makalela at all?
It's not really. It's just HLV.org, but...
Oh, hang on. Yeah, she's talking about Makalela, actually. Look, Mate, you've even missed a more ridiculous tweet. That awkward moment when I didn't say he had a small dick, but he actually did it himself on his Twitter. Makalele confirmed. Man alive, what is going on here?
See, that's worse. It's one thing if he wasn't giving her orgasms, Rich, just he didn't give a fuck and he's just a baller like that and he just literally gets in there, bangs it out, and he's like, listen, bitch, I ain't got all night and you're like third on my list. Nice reference there, in joke. But but if he actually has a small dick and you've just inadvertently revealed it, I think we might finally, Richard, have crossed the line on this show.
But then this again, is ridiculous.
She is Russian, so I mean, you should know. Don't fuck around with Russians, mate.
Yeah, you don't, man. They'll fucking body you like hardcore.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, this is unreal. So, right, I think what we can safely say here is, just as a lesson to all aspiring pros out there, like if you're gonna have a bird, you know, a girlfriend, a partner of any gender, whatever you're into, right, keep it outside of the scene, yeah. Don't shit where you eat. Never do that, man, because that shit will come back and fucking wreck you. Can you even imagine, Duncan, if one of your many waifus from fucking South Korea came out and was just like, I have never come once with Thorin. Like, that's it. It's game over, mate.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Real, right?
All Cloud9 will be there saying, me and the bros, they'll run a train on her. We'll give her something, you know, something to think about. Yeah, they'll be wrecking you. You lose all that.
Everyone in Cloud9 would be like, listen, mate, with our mad HCH supplies, we'd be fucking the bitches all night long. What's wrong? Testosterone low, homie. get this horse steroid injected in the base of your cock. That'll get you going, just like we used to back in the days pre-Dubai.
Oh, this show is terrible. What are we even doing? Right. So anyway, look, there's a lesson learned there. There's a lesson learned there. Definitely don't shit where you eat ever. Definitely don't shit where you eat ever. Right. But let's get back to Winterfox, okay? And the additions of Flowsick and Desi. What do we think of them? Are they going to give their fans an orgasm soon?
The problem is, Desi is a good player. Like, I've seen it. He certainly is one of like the rising talents who has skills. But it feels like when you look at his like past record of the teams he's been kicked off, or times when the teams have brought in a worse player, that's usually a hint that someone has some sort of personality issues, like they're a rager or they won't follow orders, you know. So that's not a great sign. So I think he's an upgrade. The problem is, I've always thought Flowsick was pretty shit. I've never really thought he was a good player, actually. So
yeah.
I can't imagine that's great. The problem with this lineup is when I look at it, it's just a bunch of nothing, you know. I mean, basically, the Desi's a good player. Like, XP3 is an okay role player. Lex is like a very average player, and then I think the others are kind of shit. So I'd put it this way: I don't think this lineup will ever be top 4 in NA. So it probably won't be relevant in terms of lands.
Well, it seems to be suffering from the same old problem we've seen in NA over and over again, and that is that, you know, you've got these players, and the players you're bringing in are these like players that everyone's like, hey, they're going to be rising stars, they're going to improve, they're going to get there. All they need is a home and the ability to go to events and compete against the best, and then it happens, and you're like, okay, right, you know, maybe they need a few more events, and then we wait, and then it doesn't happen, and then you're like watching them like Pug or whatever, or playing in the Face Pro League or whatever it is, wrecking people. You're like, oh, right, okay, well, they've obviously got talent. It must be the team that's wrong. Okay, so then they get coaches, they start working on strats, then they go to an event again and they disappoint. And I just feel like NA seems to be stuck in this weird cycle at the moment, almost in every team, where they can't get over the hump of sort of developing the talent. That seems to be the problem. Like, the terrifying thing, and obviously we'll get into this in a little bit, is the iBuy Power lineup. You still feel like even now they could get back together and wreck some of these teams. And they haven't even been active for a year. And, you know, these players haven't outscaled them. They haven't outdeveloped them despite having all these opportunities. I remember when iBuy Power got banned, and obviously, you know, my attitude about that ban has changed now. But I remember saying one of the few good things that would come out of the ban is that it would give room for the American scene to breathe, to develop, that this little clique that had been holding back some of the talent and not giving opportunities to people that weren't in the group, that's all gone now. So now it's wide open. And realistically, there haven't been that many players that have come through and actually seized that opportunity. And I can't quite put my finger on why that is. Can you?
Well, one of the problems is, I mean, that doesn't help. But whenever I talk to players within the scene, and so some of the players in these top teams, okay, in NA, they get it that their lineups aren't good enough or they don't have the right mix yet. And that's part of the reason why they're not able to get to the top level. It's not just practice. But what they'll always say is, they'll say, right, but who do I recruit? And what's funny is they're saying it because they're thinking there's no one, right? But I'll always recommend names. I'll say, oh, how about this guy, like upcoming entry fragger? And they'll always be like, no, he's just an idiot. And they'll be, okay, what about this guy? You know, terrible attitude, really arrogant. Okay, what about this guy over here? I think he's actually overrated. You know, like, basically, it's the same problem to a degree, which is that nobody in the scene is willing to, unless you're someone with like a really flawless, spotless team attitude and skills as well, no one's willing to give you a chance. Like, everyone thinks that if you got these flaws, they're always going to be there. And so essentially the NA scene's not open to development. And so as a result, these players just cycle around the same teams over and over and over. And the lineups just go from bad to okay to average to a little bit above average. And you don't really get a lot of impact on the top level. Whereas actually what I'd like people to do is realize, I mean, a perfect team example for me in this case would be CLG, where you have to look at the team and go, this team's clearly plateaued. And for good reason. Like, we've got almost everything we can in the team rolling. Like, think of how that last major went. Like, JDM's on form. Tarek even had a really good game. FNS was actually playing pretty well, considering he's in this new lurker role. Yet, they still didn't do anything particularly of note. And so as a result, you got to look, if you're a team like that, and go, right, we've got to change something. And if it's the case that we've got no person who's an obvious pickup, we've got to pick someone with the skills that we want, and hopefully we can mold them, you know, because people underrate that. If you have a really good environment, like I think CLG probably does, and you brought in one of these young guys, it's going to be hard for them to be a total asshole to 4 people. It's one thing if they do it to one guy, you know. So I feel like you could mold them if you had the right attitude. Maybe I'm naive in that sense, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think I can't believe it's just a sort of absence of talent in NA. It makes no sense logically.
It can't be.
But there doesn't seem to be a sort of a development plan. I mean, like, I don't know. Is it coaching? Is it sports psychology? I know you love that subject, Duncan. Like, I can't quite put my finger on what America is lacking yet with the horrific slump of Cloud9. And we are talking a really pointed slump here. We're talking about them struggling to beat teams like Vexed in the most recent major. We're talking about them losing 5 Pro League games in a row. We're talking about them looking like day and night compared to the team that made 3 finals in a row of sizable tournaments. It's almost like the North American scene has entirely took their cues from that Cloud9 team and sort of slumped with them. We were all talking about Team Liquid as being sleepers. Maybe we've got a different line of attack if Team Liquid weren't in that group of death. But I still think they'll feel a little bit disappointed. I still think, despite what NIP did to TSM, I think they were there for the taking in the groups. I think Team Liquid could have won that game. So I think all of the... I honestly think all of the American teams right now, they don't seem to be achieving their level. So why is that, Duncan? Wave your magic wand.
I mean, part of it is the rosters, I think. Like, for me, I look at all the rosters and I see holes in them. I look at Cloud9, I look at CLG, I look at Team Liquid, and all of them have players. Now, it's not just like role-wise, just even in terms of performance, some of these guys don't turn up or aren't good enough. And so I actually think if we'd have had, say we could have, I mean, obviously this isn't really possible, but say you could somehow make all the major groups be identically difficult and each NA team be in an identically similar position, since none of them did make the top of 8. In that scenario, I actually think Team Liquid would have been the ones who had the best chance of getting out. As you saw, they almost did. And then after them, I would have CLG just on consistency. And then Cloud9 have a higher skill ceiling maybe than all of those teams, but just they hit it so rarely now. So actually Cloud9 would be 3rd for me. And that's not just predicated on the online results. I think if you just look at the last few lands, that there's not the team they were in the summer.
Yeah, it's crazy shit. Here's what I want to ask you. This is completely an aside, and obviously we'll get into a more pointed discussion very shortly. But again, let's just say there's been some sort of, I don't know, right, much like some contracts I've read recently, an alien race have come down, and they've said, Thorin, since you're the guy who smoked all that DMT and brought us here, we want you to pick 5 players to enter in this intergalactic Counterstrike tournament, and we want you to pick and coach the NA team.
Okay.
Right? It's highly improbable, I know, but I'll let you insert the obligatory "it's about as likely as Cloud9 winning the tournament" joke. But anyway, which 5 players do you pick to represent the whole of the NA region? Like, what is the NA dream team? Who enters that intergalactic tournament?
Yeah, let me think about this. Right, I'm thinking it out now. I'm just trying to think about what is my support players for this team. Okay, I think I know who I would have. Let me just think who the 5th one would be. Okay, I would start with Skadoodle, because I think he's the best NA player. Now, admittedly, that's with the caveat that the guy has failed every single major he's played in, 6 out of the 7 majors. So that's not a great sign, but I do kind of feel like that's also to do with his teams as well. Like, it's a dual problem. So maybe if we get him on the right team, we can get that out of him. So I have to start with the strongest player. So I'll have Skadoodle. He's my AWPer. He's my star player. There we go. And also, just in general, I noticed about Skadoodle and Shroud. Once Cloud9 got really good, I was watching their games a lot, and I was watching what they did in matches. And I noticed a lot of how Shroud's games went were based just essentially on how well Freakazoid did. Like, either on CT, everyone just ran into his crosshair and he sat at a site, or on T side, Freakazoid did really good entry work, and then Shroud just picked up all the kills from that. So I think Shroud's numbers are a little bit inflated as a result. And so as a result, to me, of the two, it's actually Skadoodle's the real star. I think Skadoodle's the one you can plug and play in most teams, and he'll be really good anyway. So I'll go with Skadoodle. But the reason why I put that caveat in is I wouldn't have Shroud in this team. And for that reason, exactly, I think the team has to be based around him. I think he can be good, but I'm still not sure how it would work, because actually I've noticed in a lot of the big tournaments, he was really good in ESL, ESEA, but other than that, he's had a bunch of tournaments where he's been a bit lackluster. He's had an entire map where he just did nothing. I mean, there was a game at the major where he had 7 kills. I mean, that can't happen if you're a star player, you know. So
I don't think of him as a star player, actually. I think there's a big difference between a standout player and a star player. Star players get shit done every game. That's a star fucking player. Michael Jordan's a star fucking player. You know what I mean? Karl Malone is a star fucking player.
Again, reference point all from the 90s, of course.
Utah Jazz, everybody. Yeah, Johnny Stockton, yo. Anyway, point being, these are motherfuckers that turn up and get shit done every fucking game. Even when their team's getting wrecked, they have a good level of performance. That's what a star player does. Now, I haven't seen that from Shroud. Like,
the thing with him is he really is the guy who has the fantastic skills and certainly has the talent to be a star. I just don't think his game at the moment is fit to be a star. Like, if anything, he plays more like kind of the 3rd best player you'd have on a team. Like, the dream would be you'd have Shroud as your 3rd best player. He would just statically sit in sites, do his job, get his kills, and he wouldn't need to be the star. And therefore, every time he did contribute a big game, he'd put you over the top and you'd wreck teams, you know. Instead, he has to be one of the main stars with Skadoodle, and so that's where I think their problem comes in. So the reason I'm putting that caveat out there is I don't have Shroud on my list, actually. I'm going to have Skadoodle as my main player. Second player, I'm going to pick Hiko. He might still not be at his Pika level, but he's still pretty good at the moment. And he's a clutch player. You see that? I mean, the guy's clutch. He just does it all the time, man. He comes in 1v2s, 1v3s. He gets it done. He's a really clutch player. Great lurker. So he's going to be my lurker role. It's just a guy where I think he also, compared to a lot of the other players, has like a good level of self-confidence. Like, he doesn't seem to choke very often, whereas some of these other guys do. So there's my first 2. Then I'm going to go with Nitro. Obviously someone where he's been quite a... in the past, people would say quite inconsistent, but I think it was more that he just didn't show up a lot of the time in the past. But I think he's started to fix that. I've noticed he's the person who I think has benefited the most from this shake-up they had in Team Liquid, where they put Hiko in and they changed the roles around. Now suddenly he is really aggressive. Like, in that NIP game, he played really well. He was rushing in there with an AK. He was getting entry kills. He was putting them in a position where they had a chance to win the match. It wasn't his fault that they lost. So I'll have Nitro there. I think as long as he's in the right team, he's going to be a really good player. We've already got the static AWPer Skadoodle. We've already got the lurker Hiko. So I need some aggressive players now. So I'm going to take Nitro there. Now, here's the surprising one. People are going to be like, yeah, but what are you going to do for in-game leader? Now, here's the interesting one. I wouldn't take Sean Gares because he's clearly got some massive issues at the moment in Cloud9. In theory, he's got pieces in Cloud9 he's not able to use. And I've heard repeatedly throughout the 2015 this comment of like, maybe he'll retire, maybe he'll coach. If someone doesn't want to be in the game 100%, I wouldn't take him. I wouldn't trust that guy, you know. So very good in-game leader at times, but I don't like that as a factor. So I'm actually going to take Cutler from CLG, because what's funny is in CLG, I think Cutler actually has fucked his own game up, because by becoming the in-game leader and making FNS just a lurker, he's now less effective individually. And so the problem is in his team, since Tarek isn't some superstar player, they need more. But I think in this team I've got all this mad skill already, so I don't need a lot of talent. So therefore, he'd probably be quite good as this consistent in-game leader who's going to play supportive roles. And then I need one more. I need a fifth player. So here's the thing. For the fifth player, I'm going to go against all the stuff the NA players say. And forgetting his personality, I'm going to actually take Roka, because I think there's a really good aggressive entry fragger. I think he could be good. People say that he's another guy where, you know, his mind maybe isn't for the game, isn't so good and whatnot. But I think if you pair him with Nitro, so Nitro has someone to go in with. I've got like my middle players, I've got my defensive players, I've got my aggressive players. I think this would be a good mix. Obviously, maybe the personalities will be a mess, and I don't know that, but that's who I'd put as my 5. And anyone who doesn't like it can just pop another Adderall.
I mean, I gotta say, there's some crazy picks in there, I think.
Why not?
Okay, well, so. Okay, obviously Skadoodle's got to be your AWPer. I get that. Like, I totally get that. But like, you take Cutler out of CLG over anyone else there.
Who else am I going to take? I'm trying to make a good team here. I'm not just trying to get the fraggers, you know. Because if you've noticed anything from watching majors, Rich, it's that people who are fraggers in NA don't tend to frag at majors and massive tournaments. So I've got to make the right team that allows my fraggers to be so comfortable and have everything set up for them that then I'm hoping they play to that level, you know.
You don't think Elige did enough to warrant inclusion maybe over some
I've only seen him do it on like 1 or 2 maps. Like I saw one map at the major, and I think there was one map at PGL where he was good. But the problem with him is he's got that classic. Basically, Elige is the Kirby of North America. He's that guy where everyone keeps saying he's got all this talent. If you watch online games, he's got all this fragging talent. But in general, at LAN, he goes missing a bit too often. So admittedly, he was doing good entry fragging this tournament. Like, he was going in first, and that was kind of what was drawing Nitro to feel confident to go in. But I think Roka's going to do that job for me in that sense. So for now, no, but maybe in the future.
And for me, I'd try and make room for JDM. I would
That's a possibility.
I would change one of your players and try and I'd probably rather than take Roka. I think that's a complete unknown quantity. I think there's stronger arguments you make about the others. But I think you got to find. I know he's been AWPing primarily lately, and obviously Skadoodle's on the AWP. But I reckon JDM could do a job as a rifler.
No, he has to be on the AWP, mate. He's a terrible rifler.
No,
he's actually
got to give him time.
Rifler.
You got to give him time.
I don't get to give him time for shit.
I know it's an intergalactic tournament, right? And we've all been beamed up, but
I don't want my whole
alien race.
People. I don't want the Homo sapiens to get wiped out just because JDM's fucking whiffing with a cult, mate. I need him on an AWP or get the fuck out the server.
Okay, well, fine. So now we're running double AWP on every fucking map.
Yeah, exactly. Why not?
Fine, fuck, do it.
If anything, it is NA, so you could probably do that. So just be like, just use all those cliches like, go big or go home, boys, and then just say woo after every round. Do you want, actually, I'll let everyone in on something.
All right.
Maybe people don't know this, Rich, but at the major, when Cloud9 was playing, I think, who was it they were playing first? Luminosity was the first match they played, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was. So they were playing Luminosity, and this is just what Americans are like. During the game, every time they win a round, they all go woo and start talking shit. They lost the game in the end, of course. Brilliant. Yeah, epic, yeah. You don't look like morons when you do that, by the way, guys. You know, just a tight. By the way, they weren't like leading 10-2 and they started doing. No. Like when it was like 6-7 and they went around, they'd go woo and start some shit. Yeah, great, brilliant, nice one, guys. Last place again.
So
second to last place.
Okay, so we've accepted that JDM will never rifle even if we give him time, and we have to run a double up. Right, where does FNS fit in this? Because you referred to him as what was it, a field mouse versus a pit bull. When we did our featured matchup between him. And that very game, obviously, he top fragged. He was their best player. Since moving to lurker, FNS looks pretty good. Like,
yeah, but that was at one tournament.
Yeah, but it's a fucking major.
Sure.
Maybe the whole thing is like he's been getting wrecked positionally, you know?
Yeah, but put it this way. I thought CLG was better when they had him as the in-game leader and Cutler as the, well, not entirely the lurker, but the more passive player. I actually thought Cutler was very good at that role. So I actually think that, if anything, I'd rather have Cutler do that role than make Sean Gers the in-game leader or something, you know. So I'd shift it up like that. I don't trust the FNS to do it going forwards. Again, the race of my people, Rich. My human race is on the line.
No, it's only for NA. There's going to be a EU team. I'm probably managing.
Oh,
now.
okay. Well, fair enough. In that case, maybe I should go a different route. I'd take all of Cloud9 because if you don't believe you're going to smash, then you'll never smash. Oh, what's wrong, guys? You didn't believe enough. You didn't say praise enough. Didn't say hail Adderalls. And
I just think it's a bit weird that as well. Like, right? So would you know? Like, there's got to be room for another fucking Cloud9 player. There just has to be. They can't be worse than everyone else. That seems like really crazily hard.
No, they aren't. But the big problem with the Cloud9 players is, as a team, they don't really work very well. Like, for example, yeah, you could have Shroud. Like, you could take out one of my... Like, okay, take out... Let me think of my lineup. If I'm still trying to make it work...
Well, I'm not thinking Shroud, actually, because I'm thinking, you know, with an alien race beaming you up and stuff, it's extra pressure. I think Shroud's better off streaming, frankly. I don't think he's... I think he's going to be one of those frustrating players.
Left, Rich. There's no players left, Rich.
Well, you wouldn't risk... Well, obviously, look, I know you're never going to fucking say anything good about Freak. So, no, but nothing. Why not nothing? Why can't he fit into that team?
If there's one player I'm never going to trust with anything, mate, it's nothing. I've literally watched this guy for like 7 years, and every day everyone's amazing player, star player. And I'm literally counting on my hands how many amazing LAN games he's had, and I don't think I've ever had to use both hands yet. In like 7 years.
Well,
so how many years does this tournament take over, Rich?
We're still talking about
like 50 years.
No, look. There will be time. There will be time, which is why I'm saying we could give JDM a shot on rifles. Yeah, he's not good now. But a JDM, somebody he could learn. I trust him. I'd take him in my alien squad. And then you've always got a second AWP if you need it. Nothing as well. I mean, you're going for wild outlier picks just to avoid having an extra Cloud9 person in the lineup. That's how it looks like to me.
I just don't think those Cloud9 players are all they're cracked up to be, mate.
That's crazy. So anyway, we've entered your team into the Intergalactic Tournament, and North America's been wiped off the face of the map. Nice one, Thorin.
I mean, no complaints for me.
Didn't even beat.
It was me all along, Austin. It was me all along.
You're a real man. So anyway, right, back to the fucking news. Do you want to do the NIP thing? You want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So obviously, I published this, so I'm a little bit biased. Full disclosure. I wrote this story, but that was basically it's something I've been working on for a while. You'd be amazed how hard it's been to get this out. And just to qualify this, I've obviously said to the players, look, I'm working on a story about your organization. And the players have been like, but if anything comes out before we go into a major or something, it might disrupt us. It'll create a circus. So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I don't want to do that, right? So I've always tried to find a convenient time to get this out there. And there really hasn't been one because NIP is super busy. And there's been so many other people in like the Swedish scene that are like, oh, you don't even know the full story. No, don't publish anything now. And it's been really political. And this has been going on, as you can see from the article itself, since, July. And everyone's been trying to put the brakes on getting this out into the public domain because obviously we all know that NIP's contracts expire at the end of the year. They're going to have, they're going to be able to leave. So I've resisted publishing it. It just feels like now's the time to get it out there because these guys have been fucking wrecked. They've had you wrecking them, Duncan, constantly, or about their performance. I mean, just off the top, having read the story, you must be a little bit sympathetic now. Like, how the fuck can you go to a tournament and perform when you don't even know if you're going to get your money or not?
let's divide this into two things, Rich. I'm as sympathetic to the players for what they've gone through. Certainly. Sounds really horrible. Sounds like actually a nightmare scenario where you're trapped into an org and they're not paying you, but you still have to represent them and you still have to stream for them and you still have to go to the event and play for them. And you know, every success you have at the event is going to help a guy who's maybe fucking you over. Listen, that I feel totally sympathetic for. One thing I'm not going to get on board with is this like circle jerk people are trying to start, which says that, oh, that's the reason why NIP's been sucking. No. You just go inside the server. What do you think that NIP suckings magically made a bunch of those players gradually drop off over the years, even before this all started? Like in 2014, some of these players were dropping off. That was way before this stuff happened. Then there's the issue that
actually they've never way before this stuff.
Okay,
but there was other stuff.
Tactically, they've never improved. They've never gotten onto that level. I had a really famous CS pro, a former 1.6 pro, okay, who just started watching CSGO, and he watched the major, and he was watching NIP. And he basically said something along the lines of like, what does NIP even do? Like, I don't understand what their tactics are. And I was saying, well, like how much have you watched CSGO? Like he said, you just start watching. He was like, oh no, I've been watching like TSM and I like Virtus Pro. They have a unique approach. And in fact, even like G2, this team, he was like, oh, they're quite interesting what they're doing. And he was literally watching NIP and he was like, I can't figure out what their tactics are. And I said, that's because, mate, they almost have none. They just play free for all style. Now, I'm sorry, that doesn't all line up with just the fact that they're getting fucked by the org, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, as many people have had difficult situations. More famously, those Polish guys who were in those dodgy orgs back in 1.6, those guys still won like huge championships while they were having those problems. They still played great CS. They still updated. They still got new players. So yeah, that could be a contributing factor. Like I could imagine a certain player who's playing badly might play a little bit worse. But the notion that that's the reason they dropped off from being amazing, I think that's stretching it too far. That's taking an excuse to go too far.
I would agree with you there. Look, I think the scene was always going to overtake them just in terms of the meta game. But holy fucking shit! I mean, right? This is demonstrably proven. If you treat people bad and then expect them to work hard, expect them to deliver high quality results, it just never happens. I mean, holy shit. There was an article about fucking Amazon recently talking about how people would regularly cry at their fucking desks and shit and they were getting wrecked. You know what I mean? Like, and mysteriously productivity's down. Well, of course it is. So the idea of expecting your elite level athletes, which are what our players in Counterstrike are, to be going onto a server and delivering performances. And let's not forget, right, if you take away or even if you delay, and let's be clear, they're only owed 16,000 each at this current moment in time, to my knowledge. And it was as high as 340,000 rough estimate at one point as of the end of July, start of August, between 5 of them. Now, if you're not paying prize money, which you win, it's got nothing to do with your fucking contract. Org takes a cut, but it's meant to come to you. The only reason it goes to the org first is that they're taking a cut. They can't say, oh, hey, well, we're keeping Warrior prize money right now because you haven't done this other shit over there. That's for your salary. That's got fuck all to do with your prize money. Prize money's a prize. You know what I mean? You earned it, right? You won it. It's tournament winnings. Unless your contract's one of the worst contracts out there, that's set in fucking stone. Org takes whatever it is. Can be as low as 0, can be as high as 25%, depending on the org. But it's got nothing to do with any other agreement you've got in place with the organization. Now, if you implement something like that, and a few organizations have, where it's like, we get the money, we hold on to it, we pay it out to you, or we're going to hold on to it a little bit longer because we're not happy about stuff. You start using prize money as a weapon, which is why, by the way, all prize money should be paid directly to players, because you can't trust organizations to do it. Well, what have the players got left? How can you go on stage? If you win a tournament, the reward for winning the tournament is the prize money. If you don't get the prize money, the only person that wins when you win is the organization. So how the fuck can you get motivated to do that? I know I wouldn't. On
one level, I get it, right? But here's the other thing. At the end of the day, your validation for playing isn't just money. And it isn't just to rep the org. It's also you want to be a great player, you're motivated to play, you want to in fact, if anything, you want to succeed when you get out from under the grips of this horrible org. You want to be good still, and you want to, so it goes both ways. I'll certainly, like I said, I'll acknowledge, no doubt this was more of a mental strain and this was more of an issue, etc., etc. But the reason why I'm making this emphasis clear is this does not allow NIP fanboys to be like, they would have made every major final without these problems. That's going too far. At the end of the day, there are reasons in the server that we can look at and explain, which can't all be accounted for just by these problems.
Yeah. So getting back to the devil of the details in the story, the players had been trying to chase this amount of money up. Now, where it gets really fucking shady is, and I got multiple sources on this, which is why I'm eagerly awaiting this backlash I'm going to get. Apparently, I'm told they're going to trot a player out to refute these allegations or something fucking cliched like that. It's going to be Richard Lewis isn't a journalist. And it'll either be that or it'll be the classic focus on one thing that isn't entirely true and use that to discredit all the other pieces.
How could it be a player though, Rich? You think a NIP player would do that?
I don't. Here's what I know. I sympathize with those fucking players, dude. Like, massively. If they have to come out and say a bunch of shit to get paid, fucking burn me to the ground. Like, I give a fuck. I get that every time I publish a story. If they have to bring Freiburg out, right, who I care about deeply, and he has to fucking nail me to the cross to get his money, fucking do that. You got permission. You tell him I made this shit up. You tell him I lied. Do it. I give a fuck. I'll be writing another story next week.
Then his integrity's fucked.
No, it's not about integrity. You're getting it wrong, man. It's like, these guys need this fucking money, dude. Like, these guys got fucked like no other team ever got fucked. I haven't even told the full fucking story yet. Like, and it'll come out, It's going to come out, whether it's me or somebody else. This is all coming out right now. These players, sure, I'd probably advise them to, I'd probably advise them to use the fact it's all going to come out as leverage to get paid. But if the org goes to them and goes, hey, there's a contract here where we can tell you if something like this comes up, you got to go to the wall for the org, then fucking do it. Go out there. Call me a fucking liar. Get your money, and in 2 months you're out anyway, and we'll all have a beer and forget about it. I don't care. All I want to do is see these players get what they're due, man. Like, they earned this fucking money. They earned this money harder than any other team. This goes back to the old fucking NIP. The old NIP got themselves into a financial hole predicated on the players' success. They had no idea they were going to be as good. They had no idea that they got this fucking genie in a bottle when they put these 5 players together. So they got a year's sponsorship back when CS was small, and they were going to events, and they kept winning and winning and winning. And after 3 months, they burnt through a full year's budget. So then they start saying to these players, hey, defer your salary, we'll get you to another event, and you'll win it because you're going to win because you're NIP. So they go to that event, right? And they win it. And then it's like, okay, defer more salary. Next event, next event, next event. Suddenly they're massively in the hole. The players are thinking, where the fuck's my prize money? You'll notice in the report, it said Fifth Lawrence still owed money. This isn't just a Per Lillyfelt issue. These players got fucked on both sides of the timeline.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous.
There was a great quote. That's just a great Reddit comment, Rich, that said, to frame how this all went, he's just said that these players have been owed money since EnVyUs was LDLC, TSM was Dignitas, and Luminosity was Kaboom. That's just a great way to phrase it, because obviously that was like the beginning of the year is what all those teams were. So those teams have literally all changed orgs and built entire legacies under new orgs, and these people are waiting for the money still.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, if you've seen firsthand, like I have, I go events and I talk to these players. And I've had to watch them fucking go into every event with their heads down low because they're thinking, fuck, not only are we getting wrecked in the game, what have we even got to look forward to when we go home? There's no 6 Skrilla for fucking NIP, right? They got to fight tooth and nail just to get it. When Natu went into that organization as a coach, holy fucking shit. And you were there when I said to him, brother, you don't know what you're getting into. We were in fucking Bucharest. I told him.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So if this sort of thing happened to me, obviously I'm an older person, I have more experience with contracts and stuff. my first reaction when someone starts fucking me like that is, well done, you've just null and voided the contract, so I'll be leaving, and I can probably still get you to pay what you owe me under law because you will have acted as though the contract did exist by employing me for this long, et cetera, et cetera. And so essentially, I've got two choices. Either I can get you to pay me right now, and then we can fuck it all off, or I could just leave anyway, go get a better deal while you only owe me a bit. So why would they stay? And by the amount of time you're talking about, it sounds like they've stayed, and now the amount they're owed is probably trebled or quadrupled. Why did they never make a stand and force it?
Because law requires lawyers. You dig? And these people that you're dealing with, venture capitalists, tech groups, they got more money than a bunch of players. They'll go after your shit aggressively. This happens all the goddamn time. This is why when I'm talking about a player union, it's not even about like, yeah, we'll hook you up with lawyers. Christ, they could do that now. You don't need a union to do it. The point is, lawyers cost money. If you're not getting your money and you've got to pay a fucking lawyer to get your money, you're already fucked. I mean, this is the problem just in society. Like, the poor don't get good legal representation. They get some fucking straight out of college shyster barrister, right? That's gonna fucking wreck them and do it pro bono, and he's never worked a case. You know, fuck, man, watch your TV. You know the tropes. They're not lies. It happens over here. Free legal aid. It's one of the great things about the UK justice system, but it's also subpar. If you've ever got to fight for something against somebody with money, you're already lost. And that ain't fucking fair. And that's unfortunately the power dynamic that goes on in esports. If you ain't got money, you ain't getting your money. Get fucked. That's how it works. Okay. So straight away, these guys need to go to a lawyer, and then you've got to ask that lawyer to work pro bono. Well, that weren't happening back then. There's a bunch of them doing it now, but that weren't happening back when all this shit started. And plus, do you know what? I'll tell you about these players. I know Adam, and obviously going back to Fifth Lauren, I knew those guys from Source. They're two of the most stand-up motherfuckers you'll ever meet. Like, serious. They are like hard-working pros, good guys. Fifth Lauren never had no ego because he had a taste of the good times in CGS. Freiburg just wanted it so bad. He worked his heart and soul out to get where he was. Get right. Model fucking professional. One of the first 1.6 guys who ever did an interview on CAD Red, always treated me with respect and dignity. Forrest, just a fucking good all-round guy, you know, like just a fucking legend. The only one I really don't know is like Arlu. Exist. Right, so like he used to play in an organization who was like run by one of my best friends in esports, a guy called Cheyenne Teller, who set up this organization called Lions. And he killed himself by throwing himself under a fucking train. And Richard was a real good fucking, you know, supportive to me and all that. These are good fucking human beings, man. They don't deserve a goddamn second to any of this shit. So they're the kind of guys that will fucking just shut up and sit there.
Do you think if they had come out with all this stuff that they could have pressured tournaments to not let NIP play in them?
Who fucking knows? I mean, Jesus, like, you know, like
in theory, shouldn't esports be taking care of its own infrastructure? Like, if the players come out tomorrow and say we're owed all this money, then shouldn't DreamHack be like, right, NIP, you don't get to enter teams until this money's paid?
Yeah, I mean, you know,
do you think that would happen? I don't know the scene, so I don't know if these people would or not.
And here's the thing: how would the players even benefit from that? How would the players even benefit from that in the short term? You get locked into some fuck. These guys are so slippery, man. Like, they put their names on paper and you think there's something and then they ain't. And it's just smoke and mirrors. Like, am I a CEO? Am I a consultant? You know, no one fucking knows. They do all these secret backdoor buyouts, right? And I'm not just talking about NIP here. This happens in every esports organization right now in the current climate where there's too much fucking money and not enough of it is going to the people that built this fucking thing right here. So I don't even know how that would benefit the players. I got to be honest. I've never been the kind of guy to sit down and take shit, right? Like, I'll speak up. Like, I'll fight a guy that's 10 times my size and lose just so I said, well, at least I didn't take it, right? At least I wasn't fucking bullied. You know, that's me, right? But, like, these guys, they're professionals. They got a long career to think about. They've got other teams to play in. Let's not forget, All of these team owners talk to each other. They're in their own little union or association or whatever you want to call it. If one player comes out and disrupts the shit of one org, you ever think the other orgs are going to pick them up? Of course not. We were around in the G7 days when they were artificially, wrecking the price of Warcraft players. They were like saying, hey, we're never going to pay a Warcraft player more than 8,000 euros a month. We're never going to do that, no matter who it is. So if they come to you and they say it's more than 8,000, they're lying for leverage. And that way, star players had a cap on how much they could earn. And the orgs did that. So players got fucked out of their value. And shit like that's happening right now in Counterstrike today in 2015. So I don't blame those players. I don't blame those players for not wanting to get into that shit. It's just fingers crossed that they're going to do the right thing. The NIP were bombarding them with emails, telling them they were going to do the right thing. We're going to do right by you. We're going to look after you. It's difficult. It's complicated. We inherited this difficult situation. But this is what makes me really mad. Is there was guys like Natu, get back to the original point, there was guys like Natu who came into this organization, said to the fucking CEO, said to the management, look, the players are suffering right now. They're feeling mentally drained. They feel like they're fighting on two fronts. They're fighting to regain their form. They're fighting to get their money back. How about I help? Tell me how I can help. I know I'm a coach, but tell me how I can help, right? I'll what is it? Spreadsheets? Do you need email sending out? Tell me how I can take some of this responsibility on. And the response from the fucking CEO that we're talking about right now, who's going to come out and wreck me for being a liar, apparently, his response was, the players should concentrate on doing their jobs. It upsets me that they don't trust me. Players aren't fit to run a business. Shit like this. It blows your mind. There was never anything but a battle going on inside of NIP. And I can't imagine it because you've got to fight enough battles when you need to be a top level team, and you got to go to tournaments and events, and you're fighting being ill, you're fighting sleep, you're fighting other talent to get to the top spot, you're fighting people like us who are going to criticize you when you fail, and we're right to do that, but that is a reality. Everything fucking hurts, man. And what, you don't even get your paycheck at the end of it? Jesus Christ, that's no way to live. I'd go out my fucking mind if I had to live like that. So these players, man, people need to realize they got wrecked harder than considering they're the poster boys. They're the fucking poster boys for Counterstrike. They're the guys that put Counterstrike on the map. They're the guys that made every other player in Counterstrike want to step their fucking game up. Made every other organization want to be pro, want to be like NIP. They set the original bar. Sure, teams have gone past that now. Teams have fucking vaulted that bar, set new world records. But they were the original people that came in and took this shit seriously. And they've been wrecked harder than almost anybody I've ever covered in 10 years of writing about this goddamn shit. And I can't understand that. It blows my fucking mind. It blows my mind. I don't even understand what the players could have
so
done.
I appreciate all that, but put it this way. Let's say there was someone listening now who's a pro player, he's just in like a good team that's not the best yet, and this might happen to him in a year from now. Essentially, my advice to that guy would be, when they owe you the first 10,000 euros, stop right then, refuse to do any more work, start to get some sort of legal thing and make a massive stink about it. Like, what you never want to do is what inadvertently the NIP players have done, which is take 20,000 owed, allow that to be racked up to 40,000 owed, think, well, should I complain? Oh no, but now it's 40,000. Let that go up to 100,000 owed. And suddenly you're in a scenario where you might never get any of that anyway, but now you've let it get even worse and worse and worse just because, unfortunately, you couldn't see a way out, which I get it. But when you look back now, if you couldn't know with hindsight, you would take a stand at the first chance, right? Or you get out your contract or whatever.
And we're going to change that, right? We're going to change the fucking paradigm. Like it's about, this is why, right? Fuck all the other bullshit about what a union or an association or whatever might fucking do. Let's, like when you're first owed that money, let's have a place you can go to and talk to people about it. You can talk to your other fellow pros, and maybe two organizations share a sponsor, right? Maybe it's as simple as this. 2 organizations share a sponsor. One organization isn't paying their players, the other one is. And that other organization, after speaking with these guys over here, goes to that mutual sponsor and says, we're not going to rep you while this situation is fucking not sorted out. So you need to put pressure on your guys. You need to withhold your money. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe it's all the pros, all the players say, we're not going to bat to any fucking tournament. We're not batting for any organization to all of our bros get fucking paid. Maybe it's that extreme. Maybe it's just, hey, look, the union will front the costs of a lawyer for you, and you fight this, and you get your fucking money. And in the meantime, you individually withdraw your labor, which you're entitled to do, until you get paid. I don't know how it's going to happen, but the code of silence is got to fucking stop, because it's the fact that no one's ever talking about this shit, that it just is allowed to fester in the dark corners. These guys over at NIP, they've had an unchallenged ability to fuck these guys, because it's in every contract. Don't talk about the organization. Equally, even if that clause isn't there, if someone owes you money, you don't go out and wreck them on social media because you ain't getting your money. And what's the upshot? What? Sponsors pull out because they don't like the bad publicity? You just made it harder to get your money. So it's got to be done in a formal capacity. And this can't keep going on. I want to write about good shit. You know? I want to write about players getting wrecked by their ex-girlfriends on Twitter and fun stuff, and didn't this team do well, and here's an interview with this guy, but I'm trapped into writing about this because this is going to happen every goddamn day in esports until we change shit. Like, literally, that if it was going to change, it would have changed 5 fucking years ago, and it didn't. So I'm beyond sympathetic with MIP. I mean, look, shit, we haven't even got to the deals of the story. I mean, look at this shit, okay? So the management in NIP told the players that, MLG are deadbeats, right? MLG aren't paying out their prize money. So the players were like, well, fuck it, man. We got enough problems. So they decided collectively to drop out of the CEVO 7 LAN finals, which was a $75,000 prize pool, right? The reason MLG hadn't paid their money was they hadn't filed any paperwork. They didn't want to, because they were going to have to put their tax information on the paperwork. And obviously all this bullshit with a fucking court case was up in the air. So they wrecked their own players, made their players withdraw from a tournament they could have competed in by lying to them, and that they could have had even more money. So they fucked them twice. I mean, that's unreal. That's like a bunch of guys just coming in. Well, I've stuffed 5 dicks in your ass. How can I make you airtight? Oh, yeah. There's your mouth. There's your ears. Fuck it. Let's do your eye sockets as well. Nostrils. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking... That's so many dicks, Duncan. That's dick hell. I can't even...
Check your privilege. Might be dick heaven.
Yeah. It's beyond a fucking joke that's gone on. Like, yeah, we owe you all this money. By the way, the reason we owe you some of that money is this one organization is corrupt, and this organization really wants you to go so they can pay you more money, but definitely don't go and do that. P.S. We're lying. What
Too
the
many
fuck
dicks.
is that?
Too many dicks.
It
takes a lot of deals to make an org.
Beyond a fucking joke.
Meanwhile, Pear Lillifield's just going around that video killing everyone in NIP.
Right, Gfinity. Right, think about how long you usually have to battle for esports prize money. Right, so after MLG finally got the paperwork, they paid out in 3 fucking days. Gfinity, they took no longer than 15. One event, they paid out in 3 fucking days. Same with Faceit. For once, the tournament organizers are beyond on point. And yet, the management are like, we don't know where all the money is. It's in your bank. What the players should have done, Forrest should have pulled out a fucking gat and just been like, okay, Pear, let's go check your fucking bank balance, motherfucker. Yeah, let's go check your bank balance. Put your pin in. Put your fucking pin in, you slag. That's how it should have gone down. But unfortunately, we're dealing with model fucking professionals and they get fucked. You get fucked for being a pro. It's unfucking believable. Unbelievable. So anyway, they're going to come back at me right now.
He doesn't want to go back to jail.
No, that's true. But they're going to come back at me and they're going to say it's all lies, right? And I have no doubt that a bunch of Nip fans are going to come along. They're talking about how they can prove it's all lies. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to make a player do it. But like I said, I don't care about any of that, right? As long as these players get paid, get the fuck out of that organization and have nice, happy lives, wreck me for 2 months. I don't give a fuck. And do you know what? If there are any details in the story that are wrong, and people use that as an excuse to attack my credibility, again, brilliant. As long as it has a fucking happy ending. Because for 2 years, it's been one of the most miserable, untold stories in esports. It's tragic. It's fucking tragic, man. Like, when you look at all these newer organizations, right, and you see how they're treating their players, and then you've got the originals and NIP just getting wrecked like this under 2 different periods of ownership. So the full story will come out. It will come out. Other bit of news. Let's move on. I feel I'm missing something important. Oh yeah, here we go. This is what I want to talk about. I remember now. So the Intel Extreme Masters talent has been announced. Did you see this, Duncan?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, well, so let's talk about the lineup. First of all, I gotta say, great choice of observers. Right, I'm starting with observers, mate. I'm building up.
Okay, I see where you're going.
You like that? Yeah, you like that.
Yep.
YNK, Yanko's good people. Sapphire, Heather's good people. Know the game, brilliant. Loving those observers. We get into the commentators. Anders and Semler. Right, Joe Miller's out of retirement to commentate.
Interesting choice.
Well, let's start. Let's talk about that interesting choice. I'm actually psyched because I've said this to you many times. There is nobody in terms of being able to go out, party all night, get fucking wrecked to the point where they're flatlining in an A&E. That's never happened to Joe, by the way. But, you know, I'm talking about extreme levels of partying. That's happened to me, of course. And they go to the event and just kill it. Like 1 hour sleep, boom. And you wouldn't even know. Joe is a fucking natural talent, man. He's just unbelievable. Like, unbelievable. And I think he's been away from Counterstrike for way too long. And I think when he went into this new role at ESL, he should have had way more fucking casting time than he's been afforded. Way more. Way more. That's my opinion. I don't know if you share that opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought what they fucked up is it should have been D-Man who stayed doing League of Legends, and Joe Miller should have come and done CSGO. And I think what's funny is ESL would be in a great position right now because they'd be in this position they're in now, but for every event. And so as a result, even if people complained that they didn't have analysts they didn't like, the casting talent would be top notch.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm really hoping. I didn't even mind. There was a bit of a weird tweet from Joe, obviously going into the major, where he's like, "There's a few changes I would make. It's a decent lineup." You know, I didn't even mind all of that shit. I thought it was fair.
Except that doesn't really work when you then go and announce this lineup, and it's like, oh, so you'd like us to wreck your lineup, would you? Well, I mean, that's ludicrous. In contrast, it's a bit silly, isn't it?
That's exactly why we're doing this segment. In fact, in many ways, had that tweet never been posted.
So, okay, keep going. You've only done the first 3 names there. Keep going.
Yeah. But I did want to draw attention to Joe.
Yeah, love Joe.
So, yeah, obviously. Henry G. Loving his rise to prominence
Quality
right
caster,
now.
Yep. Great caster.
Some would say inexplicably popular, considering he looks like the offspring of John Cleese and a horse. But he's pretty good. I like him. Do like him. Moses, great to work with at the major, wasn't he?
Best, mate.
Yeah, what a talent he is. Like, no doubt about that, man. Yeah, and a great person as well, though. Like, really good to be around. You know, the camaraderie was high with him and everything else. Top guy, knows his onions. Best thing
also
come out of
invaluable
NA.
for an event like this, where you're going to have NA teams and European teams. Because he's one of the few NA analysts who really has a really good grasp on the European teams. Really done his homework.
Okay, and the last person on the lineup is Pansy.
Moses, love Moses, brilliant guy. Yep. Top caster.
Well, no, because we're gonna do it. We're gonna talk about Pansy on the show, brother. We're gonna have a serious talk about it.
That Moses, hell of a guy. Can't talk enough about him.
Come on, give me your opinion.
Here's the thing. I don't think Pansy's terrible. I mean, obviously that's a relative term. Like, she's not Raheem for a start off. So she's serviceable. The big problem is, this might sound harsh, but I think to be a good play-by-play, as in to be popular and be not just skilled alone, to be popular and to use a wrestling term, to go over with the crowd, not just to be good at what you do and to have a good character, to go over the crowd, you have to be in some sense charismatic, or there's something about your personality they like, or some way that you get people hyped up. Unfortunately, I feel like that's where she falls off a bit. I don't know why that is. Maybe it is a female thing. I don't know that I've ever heard any female casters in esports that really got me going in that sense. But yeah, something about it just doesn't work in that sense. Like, I don't think her technical skills are bad. She's clearly worked on it. Her game knowledge isn't incredible, but it's okay considering she has a full-time job doing other stuff as well. I think that's all fine. Just in terms of getting over, it's not really there. And by the way, I say that as someone who myself had that problem at one point in esports. When I was doing color commentary, I don't care what anyone says, I was fucking killing it back in 1.6 with all my knowledge about the players and even like the specific routes they would take on maps and where a battle would take place. But you know what? Not a lot of people wanted to hear it because I had no charisma. I didn't know how to get across on camera that way. And obviously in that role, I mean, if I'd have kept doing that role, I probably never would have gotten over. Maybe as a colorcaster, I never would do that. It turns out, as an analyst, I found a different way to do that, and I have actually managed to build that up. And what's funny is I think that contributes to my success more than knowing the game very well. Like, I think if the jokes are good and the charisma's there and the banter's good, I think that gives me a better chance of people liking the cast actually than the stuff I'm saying. Now, for me, obviously, I want the stuff I'm saying to be good, but that's the problem if you're a caster, is that you can't complain like it's one or the other. It's both at the same time. And the people who are on top and who are number one have both. And you can't debate that. Like, they've got the knowledge and they've got technical skills, but they've also got that charisma. They've got that it factor. And I think for her, the problem is that she doesn't have that in a sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, well, look. So here, I'll give you my rundown on Pansy, and I talked to Lauren a lot. So obviously, full disclosure, I've known Lauren before CSGO even existed. But also, I just want to say I think no charisma, Duncan. It's hard to imagine. It's so hard to imagine. But the thing with Lauren, like, I actually think she is what I would describe as a decent play-by-play. I could probably list off some guys in the collective, some of the aspiring hopefuls, maybe some UK-based ones that are just, they pale in comparison to her.
Put it this way, let me just clarify this. I don't think that it's the case that she can't do events or that she can't do majors. But at the moment, for where she is in terms of CSGO, in terms of popularity and like skills, unfortunately, it's such a talent-loaded field that if I was going to hire her for an event, I'd just have her do a few specific group stage games or maybe one quarterfinal. And I might even say in advance, let's pick out the one you're going to do. Like, let's get one that would be suited for you, or you know a lot about this team, or it's just somehow you have a sense of who you want to cast. And I'd set it up like that. Unfortunately for ESL, they run a bit short on talent, so they have to use some of these people in like huge games. And that's where, unfortunately, as harsh as it sounds, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're trying to be fair. Sometimes you just don't want to hear someone doing a huge game, and you have to watch the huge game, and we don't have demos anymore. So you have to watch the stream, and you're going to be a bit annoyed. So that's just the way it is. It's not, unfortunately, it's not a fair business in that sense,
Yeah, I mean, no, but Pansy would be the first to say, look, I don't think I should be doing fucking semis and finals and shit, right? It's like you say, she's been pushed into that environment, and she's getting wrecked for being in these high-level games where people want the casters they want. She's having to do them, and she's getting, I think a lot of it is she gets hate because of the ESL model, not because of who she is or what she is. I think if Lauren was an independent and not working at ESL, not being pushed into these high-profile games, I don't think she'd get anywhere near as much hate. I really do. And here's the other thing. Everyone talks about game knowledge with Lauren. I mean, she does play at a high, she's above me. She's ranked above me. I don't even consider it emasculating. I'm like LEM? Pretty sure she's Supreme or Global, actually.
Okay.
So I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't even qualify like rank to game knowledge, but the idea like she knows fuck all about the game, well, how can that be true? She's got a long history in FPS. She's got a lot of pedigree. I think she just gets wrecked because she exists in this. ESL are going to force their own talent on you, whether you like it or not. So if you already are uncomfortable with the girl casting, which, by the way, if you are, that makes you some weird beta cook fucking neckbeard asshole, right, just off the bat. You know, and there are some people like that who unfortunately follow our game. But that's fine. If you're uncomfortable with a woman casting a game of Counterstrike, then obviously that's a bad start. Then maybe you don't like her for whatever reason, personal tastes, right? You're not going to like everyone that commentates on it. Some people don't like Jonathan Pierce. You know, some people don't like John Motson, whatever the fuck, right? Then on top of that, she's getting forced down your fucking throat by ESL in a semi-final between two of your favorite teams, right? All of a sudden, you're like, I'm going to go on social media and fucking wreck Pansy. And that's bullshit she's in that position. Whereas if she was an independent, brilliant. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring up, there was this fucking tweet, and it's a recurring tweet, right? And you had it, and I had it. I'm sure a bunch of people had it when they announced the talent for the major. It was a bunch of people saying, why are there no women on board with that? And obviously I was like triggered like fuck, because the implication is that we're all parts of a massive sexist conspiracy to push women out of Counterstrike, which couldn't be further from the fucking truth. Anyone actually knew my history, I had a fucking girl team, I had a women's team when I was running organizations, right? I was pushing them into that, and I was getting them went into I series and shit alongside guys, because I was like, look, you might get wrecked, but trust me, we go home, we watch the demos, we're all better. Happened. Now, we end up, the idea that there's all these women that are being pushed out by all the guys, it's just not true. Maybe there's a barrier to entry and we need to explore what that is. But I see a lot of women Counter-Strike players that play in women Counter-Strike tournaments that unfortunately, because they're isolated in those tournaments, the bigger picture doesn't even know about them. The bigger picture doesn't even, the people that follow the men's game don't know about them. So any credibility wouldn't transfer over. That's another problem with segregation. I'm not saying segregation is an entirely bad thing. It's a complex issue. But why are none of these pros coming and offering their services? Well, I've not heard of one. I've not heard of one woman's player even offer to cast a male tournament. Never. And I'd be well up for that. Because if you're a pro and you're playing in the best women's team, your knowledge is going to translate in commentary to the men's game. So, I don't know, the organizations need to be a bit more forceful and invite them. Fine. But here's the thing. Lauren's basically now the standard bearer for all women in Counter-Strike. That's a ridiculous mantle to have to take when you've got professional female players, of which she isn't one. So that just adds an extra layer of pressure to it. We're definitely going to improve. I've seen Smix, who I obviously have worked with in StarCraft. She's going to maybe come in as like a stage host or an interviewer, which I think would be brilliant. I think it can be more diverse, but nobody's pushing these people out. Like, fuck it, I want to bring them in. Let's bring them in. You know, if there are any women's pro-level players that watch this show, volunteer your services. People are going to snap your fucking hands.
I'm confused. Why do you want to bring them in?
No, I'll tell you why. Because I think it removes this fucking right. The only reason Pansy wasn't at the major, I think she could have been part of that talent pool. Frankly, I honestly think she could have been. But the ESL and DreamHack, so it's politics, right? I'm not bringing them in for tokenism. What I'm saying is, if you've got high-level women who actually play the game, well, where are the commentators at? Why aren't
I
they
don't know.
coming down
I'm not really buying this one, Rich, because here's the problem. Look down the lists of all the good commentators, and you'll find people who never knew you could make a lot of money doing this, who never knew it could become a good time job, who invested years and years, killed themselves. They're very strange, unique people, all come from totally different backgrounds. Almost none of them are the same sort of person or even have the same style of casting almost. And that's because even among men, there are very few people who will dedicate themselves to becoming the best to do this. So to me, in a way, it almost is tokenism to be like, well, we need to have some women. Like, well, no, if there's a reason, you know, the reason there's no women, Rich, nothing to do with holding them down. None of them are fucking doing it. Pansy's the only one.
Yeah, and that's my point. That's my point. Why aren't they volunteering their service? Like, if you want to do it, pipe up. That's what I'm saying.
Suggests to me that women don't want to do it, in which case,
yeah, exactly.
It seems like a male business, in which case you probably be hiring males. They're the ones who want to do it, you know. It's like, it's like this example, okay?
That's my whole point.
It's like, imagine if I came out and I said, oh, studies show most people in working men's clubs are men. How can we get the numbers up? Well, it doesn't seem like an environment where a lot of women would want to go, you know. So I wouldn't even see why you'd start the debate, you know. The problem with a Pansy issue, let's be real, isn't that she's a woman. So she's just not as good as some of the people we're talking about. So the idea that it's just because she's a woman is ridiculous. I mean, I actually thought of one right there because I was trying to think when you were saying like not wanting any women, etc. There's actually a woman in basketball who did some color commentary for a while called Doris Burke. And what's funny is actually some fans did think she was shit just because she was a woman. But I actually thought her commentary was very good because I think she'd like maybe coached at like a college level or something. And she had like quite good insight and info. And she wasn't just a token woman who was just there to be a pretty, I mean, in fact, actually, she was reasonably ugly and she was like in her 40s or something. That's beside the point, Rich. But she had like good game knowledge and she was good. And what's funny is it wasn't the case somehow, even that, you know, your ear's tuned to hear a male voice and you can't quite understand a female voice. Not really. You got over that very quickly as long as the points she was making were good. And as long as the two things were there, she had a little bit of charisma, good technical skills. You very quickly forgot about that.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You know, look, if you want to be in the big show, no one's going to push you out. Like, none of the talent are going to fucking push you out. That's not going to happen. We will all know very quickly if you belong in terms of ability. That's the metric we judge each other by. Like, if I look at you and I think, Duncan, you're a fucking arsehole. You don't know what you're talking about. I don't want to do a desk for you. It's that simple. But I respect you. I know you know what you're talking about. And we always do a good desk, right? So that's the metric. It's got nothing to do with a big swinging dick, which I'm sure you have. It's got nothing to do with that.
Also, to be honest, Richard, I get kind of like insulted by the fact that Pansy's name actually promotes like homophobia in esports, and that's already a big problem, and maybe will make people want to rape gay people. So that's like a big problem for me. I kind of feel like you gamers are all like getting together and oppressing minorities, and so that's a really big cause for me, Rich. So if we could deal with that, you know.
And trust me, that would be the next thing. The people that are complaining about a lack of women on the casting team at a major, they're the same people who, hey, we brought in Pansy, everyone. Name's a bit homophobic, though, isn't it? And then we go into the next thing, like where one of us we'd have to come out the closet. One of us would have to come out the closet. Like, that'll be the next thing as well. Like, all of those guys, and not one of you is going to come out the closet. I'm like, where's the gay guy at? I'll take that one for the team, by the way. I'm hanging out with Milo Yiannopoulos these days. Obviously, have my thing with Sky Williams. I'll do that. I'll totally. We can dodge that bullet with me. Like, so, but it's just ridiculous. It's like, bottom line is, there are female pro players out there that have an off season that could commentate games and get invited to tournaments.
Okay. Here's the only problem, Rich. I think all these are good points. It's good discussion, but we've already spent more time discussing this than Pansy should have on these events. So can we move on to the next names, please?
Oh, wow. You did a heel turn at the end.
I know, I did.
What a fucking heel turn.
I came in with the belt and smashed her over the edge.
NWO, mate. NWO.
NWO. Hold on.
Reference game on point.
I know.
So, right. So have I missed any of the big stories that you want to talk about? Or should we just get into ripping the major apart for a bit?
Yeah, let's go into the major, I guess.
All right, cool. So, first of all, Duncan, did you enjoy the work in the major?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, like, this is one of the things that's quite rare is that there've been some events I've had like pretty good talent pools, but this might be the only event I can think of where pretty much every single person I would want to work with on any kind of desk or event was at the event and I was working with them. It's almost unreal. Like, I actually think, Richard, this is almost the sad thing. I don't think because of the fracturing that will take place next year and the different leagues that will sign people to exclusive contracts.
Whoa. Time. You threw me off. You threw me off with your shit. Rewind.
You didn't finish the rest of the names.
No, we didn't talk about Maniac on the desk. That was where I was going, the whole fucking thing.
Right, okay.
And you fucking threw me off. You dominated me. You bullied me, just like I did to Raheem.
Okay.
And that's what happens, mate. What are you saying? I can't understand you, mate. Will you just commentate a fucking game?
Yeah.
Why you bully me? Fuck up, mate. Anyway, that's exactly how it happened on stream. So let's just talk about the Maniac edition, which I think is fucking brilliant, by the way. Like I think ESL.
I don't understand. Why would you want to have a bot analyst?
Oh, come on, dude. Come on. This guy, right? This is one of the smartest motherfuckers Counterstrike ever had, right? This is one of the smartest guys that ever played Counterstrike. Might not have been the best player, might not have always performed at the highest level, but you yourself even said, by the time he got, he had to leave Titan, you even said he's punching well above his weight.
Yeah, he was. No, here's the thing. The only thing I worry about with Maniac, I've got to be honest, is he's shown a trend in his career publicly to be the guy where he always wants to say the nice thing and to say the right thing. Now, the problem is, if you're going to be a desk analyst, I don't think it's possible to do it. Put it this way, this isn't a job where you can get away without criticizing people. So I don't know what he'll be like, because obviously I had the same concerns when Fiflorin came into the business. I even told Fiflorin, like, if you're going to do this, you better be able to criticize people. And, for example, you'll have to go at NIP players, yeah? There's
criticizing people, right? And then I remember on day one at a major.
Yeah?
We did that Fnatic game, and a picture of Flusher came up as a player watching. You went, man alive, he looks like Gollum in that picture. And then for the next 5 minutes, you're going, Olaf Master, get it. Like just whispering like in the Gollum voice. Yeah. Come on, dude.
That's the problem, is that I'm the poster boy for criticism, but actually I go the other way. Obviously, I go past the metric of criticism and I also like basically wreck people. And I take the luxuries and it's my vice, okay? So it's true. That's the case, right? The problem is, though, you can definitely just do all the same criticism I'm doing without the joke on top of it, and it would still be perfectly valid analysis. That's my get out in some ways to justify doing it. So the problem I have there is, just at least from his playing career, Maniac never seemed like a guy who wanted to do that. So I hope when I watch this event, he will be critical and he will actually be able to say someone played poorly or they didn't do the right thing, or hope that, because if anything, being a nice guy, it's going to be hard to be that sort of character and be on the desk. I mean, for example, Fiflorin doesn't do that when he's on the desk. He goes ham on people.
Yeah, he did. I mean, like, to be fair, like when you're a beloved player, you'll always get away with it. I mean, like there was people swearing on the desk. I don't think we dropped a swear between us.
Mate, I didn't swear the whole event. Natu and I think Natu, let me think, was it? I know Fiflorin did it. Maybe Moses did it, and maybe Natu did it. They all said like shit or something live on a major. And by the way, that shouldn't be a big deal. It wasn't the end of the world.
Yeah. Moses said to us, though, didn't he? You went, shit's just on a par with, like, damn or hell. Do you remember that? And we were like, it definitely fucking isn't, mate. There's no way.
Mate, all I'm going to say is I just want to meet his mom and go, listen, you make a damn good meal. I love that shit. And just look her right in the eyes, just like kindly smiling and just go, Moses, trigger.
I'm glad you went down the dinner route.
Literally a family show, Richard. Literally a family show.
Yeah.
There we go.
The I thought you were going to.
What, that I was going to take a damn in her mouth?
Well, no, I was actually thinking the other thing. Like, yeah, I love that shit. You've been doing your Kegel exercises, motherfucker.
You went there, mate. I would never bring Moses' mother into this. You know.
You just had dinner with her.
I know. That was nice.
Right. Anyway,
as if you're bringing Kegel exercise into this.
Reference.
That's just fucked up.
So anyway, the point being that, you know, we like, yeah, you go ham. I mean, you're fucking unreal. Like, to be fair, like even I think.
Yeah, I go the other end, don't I?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know about that, mate. Point being, the fucking. Oh, the players do it. Fiflorin compared Freiburg to a Minotaur and said he was like borderline retarded or something. That's his former teammate. Where's that Reddit thread? Where's that fucking Reddit thread? Nah, it doesn't exist, does it? So, unbelievable. Anyway, we'll get back to the major now. Point was, Maniac's going to kill it on the desk. He's a real good addition. And I think ESL, if they've got any sense, they should hire that man on one of those fat stacks contracts, because if they don't, he's going to end up a partnership manager at Twitch. Because he'll kill this fucking desk, hands down. I've got no doubt about it. Anyway, let's talk about, did you enjoy working the major? Go back to your point.
My point basically was, it was literally the most enjoyable major I've ever done. In fact, the most enjoyable CSGO I've ever done. It's the best I could imagine it being in terms of the talent. And also, the point I was going to make was, since it's almost certain some of the people on that desk and that event overall will be signed to different orgs where they won't be able to work all events, I don't think, unfortunately, that we'll ever get that talent lineup again. I think that was a one-off, and we'll never kind of hit that high again. We'll have good events, we'll have cool events that have a lot of the people there, or there'll be one that has all of them, and there'll be another one that has the other ones. But I don't think we'll ever get it that has that entire spread again, because that was pretty much perfect.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say that, right? But like, I don't know, man. Look, I did an interview while I was at the event, and this you'll see it for yourself. I honestly think that ESL, they've just got to, like, obviously San Jose was too soon. They got to drop the politics, man. They got to. I'm not even going to toot my own fucking horn. Everyone else I worked with was fucking sick, like next level amazing. Red Eye back on stage, right? He did a great job. He's not done a fucking event, a CSGO event on stage for a while. Killed it, no problem. Moses come out of nowhere, held his own. He had gravitas. Here's the key thing: he was a North American with a very British understanding of the banter humor, right? Like, so he didn't get upset when we were wrecking him when he had his NIP shirt on and stuff, and we just wrecked him constantly. Fifth Laren, obviously one of the boys, Anderson Semler, they're great. Henry G's a fucking legend. Face It boys, like DDK. Christ, I can't even believe I'm going to say this. I think DDK is like great. I honestly think he's like, when I start wanting to check my own shit, like whenever I'm down in the dumps, I think, fuck this job. Like typically day 3 of an event, right? When I've hit rock bottom and I turn to Scoots for a pep talk. Right, hey, Scoots, I'm really tired, man. Why fuck you in my industry for, motherfucker?
Basically, for anyone who doesn't know, Scoots' bedside manner is really like this. Like, say you just go to him. He's like, basically his problem is he should be like a Marine drill sergeant, but he isn't. He's just actually one of the Marines. Okay, so you go to him and you go, listen. He goes, oh, you're looking a bit down there. This is something wrong. And you go, I'm really tired and I'm a bit depressed. He goes, maybe you should kill yourself. We don't need people like you here. We need to make this country strong.
He waits until you're at your lowest end, man. And you're like, Scott.
A dagger, really, Scoots? This will make you strong, brother.
This is serious, right? Because
the fire rises.
Yeah, innit? Right, me and Scott, we always have an argument every event. We always have one, right? Always one, just a little one. But like, so when I'm doing a desk, I try and keep everyone's spirits up, man. Because like, you've done a 15-hour day, there's all these delays, you're knackered. Then you're like, okay, you go into day 2 with a sleep deficit. You do another fucking 15, 16-hour day. You're like, oh, motherfucker, kill me. Like, by day 3, I'm like, haha, boys, come on, here's a funny joke I've heard. Doesn't Henry G look like a horse? Like, you know what I mean? So whatever it takes to just get everyone up and running. And then I go to Scoots. and I'm weak as fuck. Like, and I'm like, Scott, I don't know how much more I can do for the troops. And I'm like coughing up blood and shit. Like, I've got to keep the spirits up somehow, but please, just give me some words of encouragement. And he goes, man, you're such a fucking pussy, man. I don't know why he talks like Clarence Boddicker. He looks a bit like him. So fuck it. Man, you're such a pussy, man. Man the fuck up. If you want 8 hours sleep a night, go work a fucking job at like McDonald's or something. You're like, Jesus Christ. He just absolutely wrecks you. There's just no mercy. And the annoying thing is, that guy is old enough to be my motherfucking granddad or some shit. And he has this untold energy. I've said this all the time. I do not know where he gets it from. It's obviously drugs. Obviously a drug of some sort, like Ibogaine or whatever it is. Some mad drug that only he has access to. Right? But it's fucking unreal. It's next level. So yeah, Scoots always wrecks me. And then I just have to come out of it like, oh, that was my moment, I guess. That's it. That was my.
You know what my favourite part of the whole of Major was, Rich? No one will know this because it was a behind-the-scenes moment. It was when on day 4. So you remember, day 4 was when we had the quarterfinals were all on day 4, okay? And so all I remember was, like, you know, there's 4 best of 3s we're going to do. And the first best of 3 was just ended, and we just started the second best of 3. So, you know, it might at this point in time be about 2 p.m., but you've got at least 9 or 10 hours to go. And so you've got 9 or 10 hours to go. At this point in time, you still need to be like fully on your first wind, you know. You got to be like still going until about 4 or 5. Then you got to bang your energy drinks, have some more food, hope you can get through like the tiredness and get through to the last segment, okay? So in theory, you're only a quarter of the way through the day, and you were just sat next to me and you were like, I've had 4 cups of coffee and no sleep. Help me. And I was like, you're just dead, mate. It's over for you. Like if you're already like dead and you need your second win in the second game, it's just over. You may as well, like, I wouldn't be surprised if you just dropped dead at, like in the third game or something, you know, we'd be like, well, that makes sense. Yep. Figures as much. Now here's Scoots to be your support network, Rich.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Then Scoots will cover like, but the thing is, by the fourth day, Scoots is looking over like, are you okay there, homie? You're like, yep. You're just like trying to patch yourself up. Like, I can walk. Don't leave me behind. I can walk.
Man, it's like that motherfucker in like any zombie movie who's been bit, but he's like, it's okay, man. It's okay. I can still be part of the group. I'll still help you. I'll help you. And he's gonna turn, isn't he? And everyone else is around is like looking to put you down. That was the situation I was in. Day fucking 4. Like, no, I'm good. It wasn't even a bite. It was just a scratch. Big clump of flesh hanging out. It was fucking unbelievable. Anyway, back to DDK. DDK is the guy that, like, whenever I'm having a moment, just in general, you know, whenever I'm like wanting to check my shit, I look at that guy. He's the hardest working, like, caster, I think. Like, possibly hands down. I know you're gonna say, I see you smirking. There's a veiled smirk there, Duncan. Obviously, he's also the thirstiest who ever lived. But the unrelenting thirst of a man who has been through the desert and back. But he is the hardest working dude, like, serious. Like, you know, he's full of encouragement. He never gets down. He's a fucking trooper, that kid. So, yeah. Dan's always great to work with. And see, the thing is, that's my problem. Whenever I'm having a moment, I always turn to Scoots because I think, hey, we're a bit older. Like, please, just give me no comfort from Scoot. I need to start turning to Dan because Dan's just the guy like, oh, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? He always comes out with some mad stuff like, well, actually, there's this type of vocal exercise you can do, at least it's training your throat, or have you ever tried doing these like micro naps or whatever? Like, he's always read some fucking mad thing. Like, you know, so yeah, he's a top banana. Getting back to the full thing, I think ESL have now got to realize, drop the politics. We all want a good show. I've got no, I can't speak for you because obviously this isn't true for you, but I've got no beef particularly against ESL. Yeah, if you run an exclusivity league, I might be like, shit's a bit whack, you know, like might have to come out and wreck you over that one. But I don't think it'll ever happen. I fucking hope not. But I have no like sort of ideological difference with ESL. They've got some people that I care about. They've got some people I don't like. I'd do an ESL gig if they would stop politicking every other motherfucker out of the ESL. You know, like, if they do a major, why don't we just have some major talent? You know, bring all the good casters in, bring everybody in. But they don't do it. So, I don't know about you, dude, but I'd you know, if you could get DDK and Bardolph in there and fucking Henry and Anderson Semler and you, me, if you could assemble that same lineup for an ESL event, which ESL can, by the way, the only people stopping that from happening is ESL. What's the problem? Well, I guess what I'm asking is, you know, we all know you're a little bit verboten in ESL terms, but you'd do an ESL gig, wouldn't you?
That remains to be seen. It depends on the circumstances, Rich.
Well, what do you mean? Are you saying you would push back and reject ESL? Let's say ESL came to you right now and they're like, hey, you know, we watched By the Numbers, Richard's right, only people stopping us having an amazing show as us. So you're in, Duncan. You're in for the next major. By the way, it's in Katowice. No, I'm kidding. You know,
exactly.
let's imagine
that's a real condition. If it's in Poland, I'm obviously not ever doing it, am I? So there's step one.
Well, we've never talked about this publicly. Like, that isn't because you dislike Poland and would never go there.
No, that's because thousands of people sent me death threats saying, like, I will literally come to the event and attack you. So I'm not going to go to Poland, unsurprisingly, again in my life. So that's that done.
That was then. I don't think you'd honestly...
that was only like a year and a bit ago, mate.
Mate, people have short memories in esports. I don't think you get fucking killed if you went to IEM Katowice. Maybe just, you know...
Doesn't matter. There shouldn't even be the threat of anything like that.
No one's going to wreck you. No one's going to wreck you. Plus, I reckon if you were there under ESL sanction, you'd get a detail.
Yeah, because ESL give a fuck about me. Like when they threw me out completely under the bus and essentially suggested that I directly am racist, even though I said nothing racist. I mean, what race are Polish people? Have I missed something? Is this Star Trek? Did I disobey the prime directive of ESL?
I think you did.
Exactly. Well, Riker can go fuck himself. Right, I don't need security, mate. So there we go. There's one event off there.
Oh, here we go.
If they had a different event, maybe I'd go. It depends on the circumstances. So, like, for example, now that they've said all this bullshit time and time again, like, well, the reason we don't work with him is because he says things that are inappropriate. Oh, no, the reason that we don't work with him now is that the criticism too much. Well, the problem is, for what they've said to be congruent and not to be a lie, that would all still have to hold fast. So, for example, if I work this event, are they going to start telling me what I can say or telling me, like, oh, I didn't like the way that last segment went? And so, because that's going to wreck the event, mate. I wouldn't enjoy that.
Okay, so let's imagine the ESL event isn't in Poland. Okay, it's not in Poland. It's wherever it might be. Wherever they do another one, it's a major. And they come and they go, look, fuck the bullshit, fuck the beef, fuck the politics. So long as you don't wreck us on air, which you wouldn't do. I know you're not, you know, you wouldn't wreck ESL on air at an ESL event, would you?
No, obviously not.
I could. Just double checking. So you get would we do the gigs somewhere else? You know, like.
But ESL have implied I would, so probably no point.
Yeah, but
with, right?
you didn't wreck DreamHack.
Here's the thing, Richard. I don't like people who actively lie repeatedly. I don't do that. When I make fun of ESL, I do it on entirely legitimate grounds or as a joke. I don't ever say, "Oh, ESL fuck little kids in the ass," and then go, "Oh, didn't say that, did I?" That's basically what they've done, Richard. They've repeatedly implied that I do all this shit on stream. Remember, the original thing that this all sparked from, Richard, was never at a fucking CSGO event or in Poland or to Polish people.
Yeah, well, I know, man. Well,
why are they mischaracterizing it that way then? They obviously don't care at all about integrity and they're just purposely trying to use this to fuck with me. Guess what? If you fuck with me, I'm the king of fucking with people. So I'm going to enjoy fucking wrecking ESL to the end of my days, mate. And I hope and pray that the scene stays so huge I never have to work with ESL so this can last forever. We can go 30 years and I'll be wrecking these fucks on desks way down the line and I'll be loving it. So you can keep hiring Pansy and Jason Kaplan and D-Man and God knows who else. Hire some fucker from Smite if you want. I'll wreck you all then as well. So game on, motherfucker. You wanted to play? You want to poke the bear? I'll rip your fucking head off. Get wrecked.
Well.
But it's all jokes, of course. Just banter, guys. Just banter.
Yeah. All jokes, of course. But I mean, so that sounds to me like, I don't know, ESL's maybe not your cup of tea. And anyway, back to the major. Let's talk about some of the games. I won't address any of the group stage stuff. I think the big talking point is TSM. Like, what the fuck happened, dude? Like, they should have been in the final. What went wrong? And then,
or at the very least, the semi-final. Yeah. I mean, imagine they get to the semi-final, but Na'Vi does play super godlike and really good. Okay, maybe you're allowed to lose that one. The problem is, what made NIP TSM look even shitter is that they lost to the same NIP who lost earlier in the tournament to Titan on that Cobble game, and then themselves got utterly smashed by Na'Vi. So it's not even like NIP was in amazing form. NIP were in amazing form for one day. So it's not even like NIP just turned out to be some super godlike surprise sleeper team. So it has to be choking. There's no other explanation whatsoever. Like, they were even doing all the same setups and shit that they normally do, and they were just getting wrecked. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, I actually did a piece about it today where I sort of went over this topic that, like, ultimately majors will always be mysterious because, first of all, there's so few of them per day. There's only 3. Well, I mean, per year, there's only 3. And so since there's only 3, what you're basically saying is perform on these exact 3 days or your whole year can mean nothing. I mean, in a sense, it obviously does mean something. You won all these events, you're an amazing team, but people will remember you negatively because of those few days. And so as a result, you're going to get people who, like Kenny S, who had a whole bunch of majors where he never really did anything. Scoodle has never had a major where he's done anything. Yet these are great players. So unfortunately for TSM, they've repeatedly done it. It's only majors now that they're favourite. Listen, if anything, Rich, they've moved up the hierarchy of choking. They don't choke at small events. They don't choke in decent-sized events. They don't choke versus top teams. It's only at majors now. It's the last step. But it's still clearly a massive thing holding them back. Because I agree, they should have at least been in the final, or at least the semis. This was unacceptable to go out in the round of 8.
What do you think about them firing the coach, Realistion, as he used to be called? Like, it was pretty much announced while we was announced while we were still at the fucking major.
By the way, by fired, you mean as in they removed him, but they said that the players were going to keep paying him to stay on or something?
Yeah, it was something like that. Like, the org were going to... I mean, I saw the statement. It was like the organization didn't wanted to sever ties or something. Like, it was a bit ridiculous. Did you see it?
I think it's bullshit.
I'll get it.
I mean, TSM...
I'll get it for you.
In the history of CSGO, there might not be a team who's had an organization who's had a squad as good as TSM's, that's accomplished as much as TSM's, who's promoted them as little. I mean, for example, so I like Titan. I follow Titan on Twitter, etc. Titan's team hasn't been good for a long time. They're all over that shit when they're at events and they're winning games and they're doing things. They're all over the social media. And TSM their CSGO team is better than the League of Legends team, and they're just not even doing fucking shit for them. It's ridiculous. So the idea that they're going to fire the manager guy is unreal because he's obviously doing something.
Yeah,
it's certainly not his fault they failed.
Yeah, well, well, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know why would that happen? He said.
Oh, by the way, they just released the article talking about the player.
Yeah, we'll get into that right at the end of the show. We'll do it after the. But yeah, so. Basically, this is the guy who goes to every event with the team. This is the guy who stands behind them in the booth. This is the guy that sets up the interviews. This is the guy that facilitates the players having everything they need. I've never seen Reginald at a CSGO event. Have you?
No, the only one I've seen him at was MLGX Games Aspen, and that was where it was the first event. That was actually before he had his team, actually, so maybe he went there to meet them then. But I remember he was there with a cadre of the League of Legends owners who'd all just got teams. Like Team Liquid just got a team, CLG had just got a team, and then he was obviously going to get Dignitas. So that's the only one I've seen him at, and I suspect he also went to that because it was the X Games. So I don't think that entirely counts,
Yeah, why not, right? Why not have a free X Games? And you're absolutely right. Their Twitter feed, you wouldn't even know they had a fucking CSGO team, let alone one that was competing at majors and wrecking people.
I've seen them promote the fucking Hearthstone player more than the CSGO team.
Jesus Christ.
And that's fucking virtual card game.
That's unreal, isn't it? I mean, it took a top fucking post on the Reddit to get them to say, I don't know, shall I find the Reginald statement? I'm happy to do it. It might take a few seconds. In fact, fuck it. I've got a producer for that shit. Sam, while me and Thorin rabbit on, find Reginald on the CSGO subreddit saying, I have not promoted the team as much as I could have, mainly because I don't give a fuck. But yeah, find that for me and I'll read it. I'm paraphrasing a bit there. I am paraphrasing. But, I don't understand it at all. Like, I've known Realistion a long time. He was involved in Copenhagen Games. He was the best admin they had over there. He's been involved in the Danish scene for fucking years. He's been an integral part of that team. He's been the guide that goes to events, gets those players what they need, what they want, acts as a point of contact, sorts them out with the media. And now he's not being hired directly by the organization. He's saying he's the agent of the players. Like, I mean, so that shows how highly the players think of him. But the org isn't even going to factor that in. It's like some mad scapegoat fucking bullshit, like some of the worst I've ever seen. And equally, we've got the fucking statement there from Reginald Bro, as he's called on Reddit, where he said, "Hi everyone, I totally dropped the ball on social media for the CSGO team and make sure that we're going to give them the exposure they deserve. Our previous CSGO manager was really active on social media. When we transitioned to Frederick into the role, we didn't have a heavy emphasis on social media. It was something that I overlooked. With Frederick joining our organization, he's done a really good job with player support and definitely made the players' lives easier. I will make steps to fix this immediately and make sure this doesn't happen again." Well, you fired the cunt 2 days later. What the fuck is this? Am I mentally ill? Did I miss a fucking meeting?
That's always been TSM's way. They realise, because of how the League of Legends scene works, all you ever do is when you fuck up, you just apologise, say you realise that it all went wrong and that you plan to make it better, and that's it. You don't even have to say how you're going to make it better. You just say, I'm going to make it better. And then idiots go, that's good. They listened to me. So he hasn't even said anything different. What's he done differently?
This is why people think, oh, Richard, it's just because you're banned from the League of Legends subreddit. It's just because you've had a bad experience with League of Legends. That's it. The last thing Counterstrike needs is these League of Legends cunts coming into our game. Fucking, we absolutely don't. Please erect a fucking wall. Donald Trump is right. Build a fucking wall. Keep these cunts out, right? Because they're going to wreck our game. They're going to wreck it, man. You got Reginald thinking that we're the same delusional level of fucking idiot that the average 14-year-old, I watch TSM on a stream and the odd one looks like an alien and is funny. So, like, we're adults in Counter-Strike. You can't fucking insult our intelligence with that shit. Like, yeah, Freddie has done a great job in player support. Didn't tweet, though, so get the fuck out of my org, you little cunt. Like, basically, if you're not a cuckold motherfucker, right, you're never going to last in TSM. They just hold you fucking hostage mentally. It's just as simple as that, right? And they've got a great fucking CSGO team. A really good CSGO team. Does make me wonder if something went on behind the scenes, actually, before this event. Because those players didn't even look like themselves. Not just in the game, but like outside of the game. They didn't carry themselves like, you know, TSM. Not arrogance, just confidence. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's something not right there. Like that TSM chokes one. What?
I've got to give a shout out to Exist for inadvertently the most BM tweet probably ever, where once it was drawn that NIP got past Titan and they were into the round of 8, and we knew that NIP was playing TSM the next day, he tweeted Carrigan and said something along the lines of like, you know, we have no chance to win. You guys are so much better. And then obviously the next day it came, Gorilla stomped them. And so as a result, that's like some next level BM mind games, but it worked. So well played.
And look, I know we've got to catch a flight soon, so I'm going to try and wrap all this up. And I want to dedicate a bit of time to the NIP response. I think it's wonderful that it's happened while we're on air. So let's get into this. The big talking point really about the major is, and look, I'm sorry, I'm not going to dedicate any time to the Virtus Pro issues or any, no, go on then. I'll do one other thing. G2 eSports. One of the biggest breakouts I've seen in Counter-Strike for a long, long time. And obviously, if you want to talk about problems going on, Makalela's getting wrecked on Twitter by his ex right now. That didn't affect him during the major. There was obviously something going on there. Unless it happened as a result of things that happened at the major. I don't know. But, you know, he was brilliant. That entire team was brilliant. And then actually, it's very important we say this on By the Numbers. Fox was brilliant, by the way. So I can't think of a team that's coming to a major or any sizable tournament had a breakout performance like that. They could have conceivably been in the final. 3 match points up against EnVyUs. So I thought I'd get your thoughts about G2.
Okay, here's the problem. They were really good. Makaleli had an insane game 1 against Mouse Sports earlier in the tournament. In the semi-finals, Fox was really awesome. I think it was the second map where he was going ham. Obviously, Jacob throughout the whole tournament. He was one of the MVPs of the whole tournament.
Absolutely.
Rain was just like consistently good. And then Dennis was just like good in spurts. So the whole team performed or overperformed from where you normally expect them. You could never have known Jacob would be as good. They could have definitely made the final. I think they would have actually lost to Navi, but it would have been an interesting game, certainly. They were obviously one round away. With that said, you got to look at the other side as well. Like, for example, if Makalele went utterly ham in that game on Mirage against Mouse Sports, winning like 1 billion clutches, if he even won a couple less, they're going to lose that map and they might have lost 0-2 to Mouse and been out the tournament. Likewise, when they make it later on in the tournament, I mean, it's not like Virtus Pro just got smashed by them. Those are some competitive games. And then I have to say, unfortunately, in the semi-final against EnVyUs, that was the series where Makalele went missing a bit. Like, actually had problems in that series. It was Jacob and it was Fox and it was, at times, Rain who was doing all the work. But so there's ups and downs to it. The big problem, the reason why I'm trying to put the whole perspective out there is that I don't think it's as simple as going, right, look at what they did there, incredible. They'll do that at the next tournaments. They'll do that in the next major. They'll be in the final of the next major. I'm still not entirely sold on it. Like, it was fantastic, but much as with Cloud9 in the summer, just because you have an incredible run and everyone's on fire and everything's working and you meet the right opponents, you beat the right opponents, doesn't mean it's going to last that much longer. Like I said, like, for example, I find it hard to believe you're going to see many games where Makalele wins like whatever it was, like 8 clutches or something. Like, Rain can do that consistently. Dennis is decent in spurts. Let me think who else. Jacob, obviously. Here's the thing. If he was to play close to that level again, he'd be a superstar. So I have to probably bet at the moment that he's going to cool off a bit. And then Fox, he could definitely do that for maps again. I think he might have overperformed a little bit. So I still want to see on G2. Like, I want to see the next couple of events.
He might have overperformed, but I want to be absolutely clear. You know, like what he right. Okay, so when he was the sort of de facto AWPer, wasn't working, right? And that was why Makalele picked it up. And then they started maybe giving other people a go, and obviously Dennis can open stuff. He owned the fucking AWP for G2 at this event, dude. Like, he was like, look, I'm going to go and I'm going to fucking do it and I'm going to get the picks. And he was brilliant, like, in all the big games as well. Right up there in terms of top fragging. Yeah, it took some unbelievable clutching, you know, from like Makalele and obviously Jacobs, the breakout performance. But in terms of from where you were coming into the major to where you were coming out of it, probably is out of any player, the biggest leap is Fox. Right? No?
I mean, in terms of people thought he was bad before, and now he did quite well, yeah.
Yeah, he was but he was instrumental. I mean, everybody did a job. Like, look, this is turning into a really exciting team. There's no getting away from it. I've been a critic of Gamers, back when they were Gamers 2, when they first picked up this team, I was like, this is the biggest load of bullshit ever. You just picked up a bunch of fan favorites. All you're trying to do is just be like, how many fan favorites, like, with big followings can we cram into one team? Brilliant. Like, that's never going to work. And it didn't. And then it kind of did for a bit. And then they changed people. And then it got better. And then you're like, okay, you got a VAT ban coach, get fucked. Then they're 16-0 in Virtus Pro, and then they make more changes. You're like, okay, the honeymoon period's over. What? Jacob from fucking Copenhagen Wolves. Who the fuck is that guy? And then it turns out that guy is the fucking one of the MVPs for a major. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, Fox, who the only reason, like, on the one hand, Jeff, we did criticize Fox rightly because statistically he was the weakest player, but we took relish and delight in wrecking him because his fanboys still remain some of the most rabid in any fucking, you know, in any scene. Like, right? That's fine. That's fine. I
put it this way, Richard.
You know what I mean?
You could create a Venn diagram, okay? So for anyone who doesn't know that, it's where you have these circles and they interact in somewhere, and the overlap is usually representing something. So there's going to be this, here's what we're going to have, okay? There's going to be a Venn diagram. It's going to be 3 circles. We're going to have Portuguese nationality. That's going to be circle number 1. We're going to have CSGO interest, circle number 2. And third one is mental illness. And where all 3 overlap, the biggest Fox fanboys.
And
science,
that's
bitches.
The sad truth. That's
science,
sad
homie.
Truth. That is the sad truth, though.
Notice I didn't say all Fox fans. I said the biggest Fox fans.
No.
The ones that tell people to kill themselves because they say Kenny S is better than Fox. That's sort of a cretin.
Yeah.
Then again,
and unfortunately, they exist.
Then again, thank God they at least are just interested in Fox and not Islam. Edgy enough for you? Edgy enough.
Good night, everyone. No, I'm kidding. So, right, anyway. G2 really excite me. I think they're going to move forward. I think they're going to be a team to watch. I think in Jacob, they've got one of the best upcoming talents. Like, sure, it's only one event, but he did it across multiple games. This guy is going to be hot to trot. This guy is going to be a player to watch. So I'm really excited about what they're going to do. I hope they can get to another event soon. I hope they can wreck people, because they are like, seriously, I've got a lot of love for that team right now. Like, they should have put EnVyUs to bed. And even though EnVyUs was my pick, and I wouldn't have minded, actually. I wouldn't have minded. And if they got on to get to a final, would have been amazing. So, final talking point from the major. Then we'll do the NIP thing. Then we'll all go to bed and fly to America. We'll talk about EnVyUs. EnVyUs win it, right? I called it, like, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. I was saying I can believe they're going to be the #1 team in the world. So there's 2 questions for you. I don't need to labor this point because it's already out there. 2 questions. First, are they the best team in the world? Second, did they put the Fnatic era to bed? Did they just take old Yeller or old Flusher round the back and just dump? He had a great day. He went out. He chased some cats, and then bang. Is it all over for Fnatic now?
I think it's all over for Fnatic, yeah. As in, it's not their era anymore. And I still think if they had a really inspired run, they could win a big tournament. I think that can happen. I think they can still make semi-finals, still make finals. That can happen. It's just that at the moment, you look at what it would take to win a tournament in this era, and there's going to be many where it'll just be too much. Like, they can't win a tournament if they have to beat EnVyUs and then beat Virtus.pro as well. Or if they have to play TSM and then play Na'Vi and then play EnVyUs. Like, this is just too much to ask for me. At the moment, they're in their own Magic style era, phase of the team rather, where they can get it together for one match or one map, but doing it for a whole tournament, you have to be the best teams to do that. So I think Fnatic is done in that sense. At least their era is done. Maybe they can still give us some great, like, parting memories, like a sick tournament going out the door, or a NIP style over TSM win where they do smash EnVyUs in one series, but then lose to TSM later or whatever it might be. In terms of EnVyUs, yes, EnVyUs is the best team in the world. In as much as, well, we've seen TSM have their own problems. Like, TSM consistently get there, but they don't win that often. They win a lot of the time, but not all the time. So the big issue to me right now is, here's the interesting thing. EnVyUs is the best team in the world, but I don't think they will have a dominant Fnatic type run. And the reason I say that is they would probably be the bet to win the most tournaments, but they will actually routinely lose finals and semis, in contrast to what Fnatic was able to do, where they could go on runs of, like, winning 4 events out of 6 and that sort of thing, The reason I say that is, first of all, the team is still incredibly streaky in terms of who does well within a lineup. The only one who actually seems to be consistent, no, I'll give them credit, there's 2 people in the team who are consistent. That's Happy and Kenny S. Everyone else is super up and down. Right, Apex is there for a game, he's not there for a game. MBK is a normal support player for a game, sometimes he has to take over a game. That is super variable. And then the second factor is, as crazy as this sounds, their map pool to me still is a bit weak. Like, all the teams who've been super good recently, like TSM, Virtus.pro, Fnatic, have all had really deep map pools. I don't think still that EnVyUs has a deep map pool. Every time they play a best of 3 against an opponent, at the moment, that some of those opponents are giving them a break. So at the moment, every best of 3 that EnVyUs plays should go like this. EnVyUs's ban is Overpass, correct? So if they ban Overpass, every team they play who's good on Train needs to pick Train. You saw it, Na'Vi almost beat them on it. I think Virtus.pro would beat them on it. I think Fnatic could still beat them on it. I think TSM would beat them on it. Now, teams don't do that.
And yet EnVyUs did overcome Na'Vi on Train. And I know it was nothing.
It was very close, mate.
Yeah, it was 16-14. It don't get fucking closer.
And half the Na'Vi team were much worse than they were in the semi. So there is that. Remember, that's Na'Vi. I'm saying if you do it against Virtus.pro and TSM, you fuck around there, they'll beat you. Just beat you on the map. So the problem here comes, do they allow something like Train through? Now, the hit thing is, they've been letting it through. You know what? Teams aren't picking it. TSM did them this huge favor in London and picked fucking Dust 2. Like, yes, Dust 2 historically hasn't been a great map for this new EnVyUs lineup, but Train was a terrible map for them. They should have picked Train in London. Instead, what they did is give EnVyUs 2 maps they at least had a chance on. Now, here's the issue. Say EnVyUs bans Train. Well, we haven't even seen their Overpass. So I can't think it's better than Virtus.pro. Can't think it's better than TSM.
The only thing I can think of is, if you were consistently banning out Overpass and telegraphing, we're really, really shit on this map, so much so we're banning it, you secretly, behind the scenes, you've got to be working on Overpass, right? You got to be doing loads of scrims.
It's EnVyUs, mate. I could believe they're not.
So the day you don't ban overpass, everyone's like, "What the fuck? Do we pick overpass now?" And then you get wrecked. You get bodied because they practiced on it. That's how you have to be, man. It's like smoke and mirrors. The veto.
I'll have to see it before I believe it. So anyway, my point basically is, here's the super strong maps they have. Cobblestone, they're unreal on. Inferno, they're very good on. Once you get beyond that, let me think what else there is. I think Mirage with the right team. I mean, you saw Fnatic beat them on it. I think the right teams can beat them on that. Dust 2, they're certainly beatable on. And then the other customs rather, Overpass and Train, they're a bit weaker. So the thing is, they're extremely good on certain maps. They're a very good team. They're the most skilled team in the world. But I think the map pool is still just about exploitable enough that a couple of teams can get the right series against them and then have a good series and win. So as a result, I don't think they'll win like, the 5 tournaments in the next 8 months or whatever, like Fnatic style, So just my opinion.
Okay, well, for me, just to wrap up the major, and then we wreck NIP for a bit. The performance by EnVyUs, yeah, man, they were in the fucking doldrums. Like they probably should have gone out to G2 Esports. I don't think that's even up for discussion. But they battled back. Happy actually got them through that. I think in terms of playing, not necessarily captaincy or tactics. I think pound for pound, they're the best team in the world. I think that was always going to be the case. The minute I saw Apex play at the level he did when he first joined the team, that was when any doubt in my mind went. I joked about it with Shocks when we were in Serbia. And I was like, oh, it's going to be great. When you go to that major and you win. I was like, fuck, sorry, man. Forgot you were you're not in EnVyUs anymore. Wrecked him, of course, like, because we're mates. So he did that. But, like, Apex is the guy that, like, for me, there was question marks about. We go there, they struggle, they get to the final. I just don't ever think it was in doubt. The Kenny S thing, wonderful way for him to put the demons to bed. I even said to him, this is how fucked up this community can be sometimes. So we were in the lift of the hotel, and it was the day, I think it was the day of the semi-finals, or maybe have been the day before. First day, they had that Kenny S video that they did. And, by Valve, the mini documentaries. And Kenny S was just getting fucking wrecked on Twitter by people like, look at your mum. She looks like a dinner lady or whatever. You know what I mean? And, fuck your girlfriend. And, can't you do better? Your brother is better looking at you. Like, just everything, just wrecking him. Like, it was unbelievable, right? So, and obviously he's a young guy. And as we know, he's a fucking emotional guy. So he was massively on tilt, like, in the, going into the last day. And I was in the lift with him, and we were going up, and I was like, look, mate, best way to fucking deal with cunts like that, just succeed, just wreck everybody. So in that way, I like to think that pep talk won EnVyUs the major. What do you think, Duncan? Do you reckon I should be their new coach, maybe?
No, because I actually had my own pep talk with Kenny S on Twitter after he lost the last major. And I told him that he had to make other people feel those tears and that if he was just the best he could be, then no one could stop him. So actually, I think your pep talk, while good in nature, just kind of came in drafting behind my pep talk, which actually led the way. But nice try anyway, so... Yeah.
All right, so I like everything else.
You give the second best pep talks in the world, though, Rich. The package, the pep talks.
Yeah, the package. But no, the reality is, like, I can't believe people would wreck him. The point I'm trying to make with that is this guy was massively fucking triggered. We've talked about his temperament. He put it all to bed to fucking roll heads. But the real success of EnVyUs, NBK. Right, you can fucking spell that MVP. That boy is fucking unreal. Unreal. He might not be the most flashy player in the team. He might not be the guy who hits the fucking glory shots. He is in a lot of ways the water carrier. When he needs to step up, when he fucking absolutely bodied fucking Na'Vi on cobbles, like single-handedly. This guy is beyond a fucking joke how good he is. And I'm hoping when there's some sort of retrospective on Counterstrike, he kind of gets his dues. Because he's like really humble. And he never come out and go, yeah, I'm the best player in the world, motherfucker. He doesn't even play that role where he needs that sort of confidence. But in terms of just being a reliable player, a dependable player, He just does it. That fucking ace he got against Na'Vi. Second map of a major final. Na'Vi should be winning that. Nah, I'm just going to ace you with a 1v4. Get fucked. Get fucked. That's like next level God tier shit. You know what I mean? Are you on the MBK train with me? Choo choo. Can we all go for a ride?
Yeah, I always have been. It's like I said, he's actually the only connecting factor between every French team that's been number one. And partly because he's got the skill to do all the roles and he always figures out what the system is. So as a result, you can have your star players be a bit more freewheeling, go outside the system because you've still got someone within it who's making sure like the engine runs, as it were.
Right, let's do right. And as I said, congratulations to EnVyUs, commiserations to Na'Vi. I feel we should dedicate some time to them, but get fucked.
One other person to mention just quickly is that I actually picked Guardian as the MVP of the whole tournament because he's had a lot of times where he struggled at past majors, but he was unreal at this major. Even in the final, he just kept going. His team totally disappeared, went to shit, couldn't do anything, fucking lost their own map. He didn't have any problems though. He was just absolutely. This tournament was like him at his best. I've seen him in the smaller tournaments, so I just got to give props to him. I thought he was amazing.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, you know, here's the thing: we could have done a whole show picking apart the minutiae of the major. Sadly, there's so much other shit going on, we can't do it. But you're definitely right. I got to give props to Ladislav. He was one of the MVPs, like no doubt. And in fact, I'm hoping that's something that comes into a major. Some maybe Valve could implement some sort of special one-off sticker or something, and we do a public vote, or I don't know, something nice like that, right? For the guy who was like the best player, regardless.
Yeah, I think so.
Massive popularity, of course. Popularity contest, of course.
Like, I'd love it if you got a little pin or something that you could put on your jersey, and then, you know, in future when people saw shots of you, publicity shots, they'd see like, wow, he was the MVP of this tournament. It'd be a cool way to give players props, you know. Yeah,
well, I mean, you know, the pins are in a lot of ways like, you know, closest we're going to get to championship rings and stuff. So yeah, fucking why not? Why not have an overall MVP of a tournament? I'm sure, you know, hey, fuck it. We don't care, Val. If you have to buy a sticker to show your appreciation, if that's what we got to do to get this thing to happen, it should happen. Because MVPs, it's not just about winning. And Guardian was undoubtedly one of the people that fucking set this tournament ablaze. So anyway, let's do it. Let's just do the NIP. They've responded to my article while we're on air. Have you had time to read it, Dunk?
I skimmed a little bit of it. So tell me what you think the key parts were.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to wreck the key parts because this is brilliant. I'm actually really pleased about this. They didn't force a player into doing what I think they were going to do, what they were talking about. Credit to the players, obviously. It's got nothing to do with the organization. But it says here that, I mean, again, you know, the chairman of the board, Hicham Shaheen, I can't even pronounce his fucking name. It's interesting. Brilliant. They're not talking. Brilliant, yeah. And you'll notice Per Lillyfeld no longer talking, almost as if he's ready to dive out of this fucking car that's heading off the cliff. He said, as a member of the board in Ninjas in Pyjamas Gaming AB, it's our primary duty to assure everything is in order at our company. It's definitely fucking not. As a result of this, we have over the past 24 hours conducted some internal checks to bring clarity to the claims. Brilliant. You had to check. An outside journalist fucking highlights this shit, and you had to check. Right, okay. So you're obviously in control. In addition to the internal checks carried out, we have had a close dialogue with our players whom do not recognize the rumors set forth in the article. Haven't put their name to that, of course. You're speaking on behalf of them, much like you have done their entire career. The result of our checks is that Richard Lewis has published an article based on misinformation, where he has drawn his own incorrect conclusions. Don't state which ones. As a result of this, we would like to address the claims. Transparency is important at Ninjas in Pyjamas. Really is, obviously. Very, very much so. And as our fans should expect from us, we will also release internal documentation with our response. I also kindly request Richard Lewis do his research properly before releasing such claims towards any individual or organization in the future. I'll be all right, I think, Mr. Hitcham, or whatever your fucking name is. I think I'll do all right. But let's get into it. So through his article, Richard Lewis claims that he's been in touch with MLG. Not through the article, one paragraph specifically. It's where I definitely state I was in touch with MLG. And he says that they have confirmed that NAP has delayed submission of tax information with regards to the prize money post their tournament, MLG X Games Aspen. The claims regarding this are incorrect. It goes on to basically say that the response from MLG was relatively slow. They kept requesting documents that are not needed for the payout of money, as NIP is registered in the US with a tax identification number. NIP is registered in the US with a tax identification number. Interesting. They actually released some emails with this document. With this PR statement. What's really interesting is, what I like about this is, you've now basically said MLG have publicly lied. So it's not me. Okay? It's not me. They're now embroiling MLG in this. So MLG are going to wreck you, by the way. I reckon they can afford better fucking lawyers than you, NIP. So enjoy that. Enjoy denigrating them in public. After discussions, MLG confirmed everything was in order and the necessary documentation was provided. The money was, however, not paid out. And NIP had to engage a tax lawyer at Mazars in Sweden to get the prize money paid out from MLG. So here we go. Now we're getting into the realms of two. It's not even anything to do with me at this point. MLG, please wreck these guys. You've got the capability.
Oh, Natu's a liar also, by the way.
Well, we're coming to that. So MLG, you know what you have to do, right? At the end of the day, throw these motherfuckers under the bus. Throw them under the fucking bus. Or if you don't want to do it publicly, just get your own lawyers, lawyer up and wreck these cunts. Because there's no fucking way that's true. I've got absolute faith in what I saw documentation-wise. I wouldn't have published it if it wasn't. And it's all very vague. The idea that NIP hired a lawyer to get fucking MLG to pay their prize money, no chance. If that was the case, why did it go out in 3 days? Pretty sure if it had to go, it doesn't. Something doesn't align, does it? Something doesn't matter. Anyway, goes on to say, internal matters such as payouts to our players are not normally commented on. In this case, mysteriously, we find it necessary to give clarity to the claims with consent from our players. You've got them under contract. You can stop them going to other teams until next year, which they clearly want to do. So, yeah, you're absolutely right that they will give their consent, and good on them for doing it. It says the prize money from Gfinity, Champion of Champions, arrived towards the end of October and will be paid with their next salaries. The prize money from Faceit is also scheduled to be paid out to the players as it has been recently received. We would also like to note that the amounts from ESL 1 Cologne and ESL Dubai have been invoiced but not yet paid out by ESL, as the invoices are not due. Payments will be done as soon as we receive the money post-due date. We would also like to preface that our players are fully informed about the scheduled payouts of their prize and sticker money, and there is nothing unusual. Well, this is interesting because I have seen unequivocal evidence, and keep in mind at the event I was just at, where Valve were at, right? They paid out the Cologne signature sticker money, and it's paid out at the same time as the organization sticker money. Why are NIP dodging that question? Why are NIP dodging that? If it's not due and there's nothing going on, why have they got one set of money but not the other? Very interesting. And then they say we would like to address the claims regarding streaming hours. The claims set forth by Natu. Well, Natu made no claims. He's made no claims. Is he my source? Fuck no.
I think they just misread your piece there, haven't they?
Yeah. Like, how embarrassing is that? Like, all I said was my source told me that Natu was trying to fix things internally within the fucking organization. It's got nothing to do with any of this shit, right? And then he goes, we have a close dialogue with our players, right, surrounding streaming hours, and there has not been any disagreements on how this has been handled. Very interesting that's the case, because I could wreck you right now if I didn't have respect for my sources, right? And NIP know this. NIP know that they basically told those players, you'll get your sticker money if we see an improvement in the streaming hours. You know you've told your players that, hey, you hit your hours in June, July. We agreed that, in August we were going to let you off, but we're not going to pay you what you owe, what we owe you, what you're due, until, we see a bit more from you, until we see a bit more from you. You know you've done that. I can prove you've done that. That's fucking unreal. Now you would even tell that particular fucking lie. And then Per Lilyfelth, or is that to call him Lilyfilth? In fact, while we're on this fucking topic, if you want to know what this guy is like to work with, they call him after the fucking Colombian drug lord or whatever. He's nicknamed Per de la Cruz, for fuck's sake. That's all you need to know. Right there, right? That doesn't happen overnight. Right? You don't just get some bullshit nickname like Per de la Cruz. He says, we are working in the fastest growing business in the world and are overwhelmed by the speed of expansion in the industry. If you're overwhelmed by the industry you're working in, get the fuck out the industry and make room for someone competent. Of course, we aren't perfect. Again, bit of a disparity between perfection and fuck y'all players, you ain't getting shit. I mean, come on. Like, no one wants perfection. Just, 95% will do. And we've not always been on time. That's the understatement of the year. And we work hard and we try to do our best at all times for our players and NIP. We are constantly improving as we grow and learn along the way. Rest assured, our players are our main priority. Yeah. Am I fucking reading it? Main priority. Put money in their fucking hands. Give them what they're fucking due then.
Here's the thing, Richard. If it's not long until NIP's contracts run out, and presumably minimum 1 or 2 players will leave. Let's imagine this scenario. Here's what I want everyone to do. So I know all the drama is going to be today and tomorrow, and mainly this week, and then people forget about it next week. And a few months from now, people won't remember a lot of it. So here's what I want you to do, okay? As soon as those NIP players leave NIP, if not you, I'm going to go to them and I'm going to do interviews with those players. And we're going to talk about these topics. And all I want people to do is remember this moment when NIP said it was all a bunch of shit. None of the players stood by it. Everything was a lie. It was poorly researched. And if NIP as an org exists at that point in time, they're going to get fucking wrecked by how stupid they'll look when their own players do come out eventually and say some of this stuff. Do you think it'll happen?
Mate, trust me, of course it will. Of course it will. Soon as the players are free from the oppressive shackles, they're going to go fucking ham. They're going to go absolutely nuts. Right now, the players are only quiet because they got to be. They don't know what... I don't even know what these guys had to sign. I know the circumstances under which they signed their contract, and to describe them as disgusting would be the understatement of the year. I'll be publishing that real soon, by the way. So,
By the way, you're probably going to be depressed about this, mate.
Why?
8 minutes ago, Freiburg CS. FYI, since Diglife joined forces with NIP, we've always received all the prize money and salaries that we've earned.
Yeah, so there we go. There we go, mate. I'll even retweet it. What did I say on this show? What did I say on the show? They were going to get a player to do it, and that's it. And fuck it. I don't even blame Adam, right? Say what you got to say. Get your money. We're going to laugh at these cunts in 3 months. I'll be laughing with him. I don't even give a fuck. It's amazing, isn't it? Like, what? How can I foretell the future in fucking real time? How can I do that? How can I get the name? How can I get the words? Like, serious, am I a prophet? That's the real question at this point. Am I the bald Jesus? Because if I am, brilliant. I'm going to turn my attention to something better than esports and make a fuck ton of money, right? Because obviously I control the universe. Or just maybe, these fucking assholes, they don't keep nothing secret. They got leaks all over the place. They got more leaks than the fucking Titanic post-iceberg, and they think it's not going to get out. So I don't even mind. I do not even mind. The real NIP magic, all of this time that we've been talking about, the real magic that NIP is engaged in is that they've got away with it for 2 fucking years. That's the magic. That's the real magic, that they've got away with fucking over some of the best professionals in the game for 2 years, right? But it's all going to stop. Seriously, it's all going to stop. The players are going to parachute their way out. Good for them. The players are going to have happy careers in another organization. I've got no beef with any of the players. None, not one, right? But these guys that have set up this crooked organization, that have put these fucking hardworking pros into a bad spot, they better pray. They better pray, okay, that this plane I'm on goes down or something. It's never going to stop. I got dirt on these motherfuckers for days. So you want to lie? I love it. I love the fact I can bait NIP into these bullshit statements that I can tear apart on a show like this after 2 fucking bottles of Leffe, right? Without even having to think about it, without even having to react to a source, without even having to dredge information up, right? Imagine what's going to be like when I get time to sit down, analyze things, Bring other sources out the woodwork. Keep in mind, this organization has pissed everyone off in Sweden. I got people coming at me, like left, right, and center. Richard, you're so close to the full story, Richard. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's see where this one ends up. And you can end it with fucking Go Ninjas. All you want. By the way, most ridiculous way. Serious statement addressing serious financial impropriety. Go Ninjas. Is this even real? Am I in bizarro world? So yeah, I'm not even bothered. They could have really, they could have told lies and leveraged their fans. But you know what? Because they fucked up so many times, that leverage isn't even there. I'm not even going to lose a second sleep. And I'm going to publish more and more things about them. I'm going to talk about Gamers 2 and the relationship there and all the other shit. Trust me, they're going to be privately messaging me and begging me for mercy. The final point, they say, neither Ninjas in Pyjamas or Per Lillyfeld. I never claimed that there was anything else. I reached out to Per Lillyfeld because he was the named representative of NIP in the story, and I did reach out to him, and I reached out to him on Skype, and he never at any fucking point accepted my ad. In fact, actively rejected the Skype ad. So scared he was because he saw me tweeting Omar at him. He saw me tweeting photos of him talking to Gamers too. He wouldn't accept the ad. Well, guess what? You don't want to talk to a journalist. You don't get to make comment. Can't say I didn't ask you. I attempted. I went down every avenue. Like, what the fuck do you want? So yeah, fuck these guys. Final thoughts, Thorin, and then we're going to close this show. I'm going to have a wonderful evening with simmering drama.
I mean, it seems very likely to me that unfortunately people will forget, but in a few months, Nip will be found to have lied about a bunch of this shit, or at the very best misrepresented it. And so, I mean, the problem is I've seen this play out too many times. So I know that people never learn, but we'll just be able to enjoy wrecking them as usual when that happens.
I don't even care, man. Alex, as like I told you, I hope Adam gets his money. I hope all the players get their money. They know that, right? And I'm not bothered, man. Like, if Get Right came out now and said Richard Lewis is a fucking lying asshole, and we all hope he dies and gets, stabbed to death, like, I wouldn't care.
If he does that, I'll fucking wreck him. I don't even care, mate.
No, don't. I'm serious. These are the boys.
I don't care, mate. I don't care. I'll wreck him. So I'm just telling you now, boys. Watch out. Well, I remember. I've got a long memory.
Don't you fucking wreck anyone.
I'll wreck everyone, mate.
Yeah, okay. Let these motherfuckers get paid. Let them get their money. Jesus Christ. What are we about? We talk about community all the goddamn time, right? And I'm
not bowing down to Moloch, mate. So they can do what they want. They can make their choices.
I don't mind being the bad guy. I don't mind being the bad guy in the community. If it does some good to be demonized and wrecked all the time and told that you're a liar and you don't research your shit and you're not a journalist and you write for a right-wing reactionary conservative publication, because by the way, they got lawyers up the ass and I knew I would never be able to publish these stories anywhere else. Okay. I've done my homework, but I don't care. If people want to say that about me, I got broad shoulders. I'll take it. I'll take it all day, and I'll do some good in the industry. There's a reason why players are never out there wrecking me, right? People do that to you, Duncan. There's a reason no player has ever wrecked me publicly, like Richard Lewis is a cunt or whatever. It doesn't happen, because I talk to them privately. I'm like, look, I said some things on the last show. I said you were shit at the game. Not a reflection on you, or hey, look, I've heard all of these things about your org. Can I do anything to help? Like, I'm a player-driven guy. I don't give a fuck about any of it. My reputation. When Counterstrike's not even here, I'll probably still be talking about games, still be talking about shit. Happened to me in Dota, happened to me in LoL, happened to me in Star. It's all in the game. I don't give a fuck. So I'll be all right. But NIP, I think this is brilliant. I can't wait, because they're gonna have to close their whole website down, because it's just a collection of propaganda and bullshit right now. We're all gonna be able to pick it apart on January. Like, simple as that, man. It's gonna be hilarious. So look, fuck it. I won't gripe. Let's end the show. Duncan, any final thoughts? In fact, I think you do the Alphadraft 6 Skrilla plugs way better than me, mate. So
Yeah, well, we just had the major, and so if you'd been playing there, you could have picked out your team that you thought was going to do well. And obviously, if you'd have picked out people like Gamers 2, if you'd have picked out Luminosity, Navi players, I'm sure you would have gotten some of these players quite cheap, and you probably would have won tons of money on these contests because, I mean, people like me would have picked TSM, we'd have had VP players in there, we would have gotten wrecked. So if you think you know better than everyone else, or you think you just want to have some fun picking out players, you can play Fantasy Esports at Alphadraft, alphadraft.com. And they have multiple games. They have CSGO, League of Legends, Dota 2, Smite, all that shit. You can play basically almost any level. There's free contests. There's contests for as little as, I think, like 20 cents. And it goes as high as you want. It depends how much you want to play for. If you just want to do it for some fun, if you want to try win some money. And if you do so, obviously they pay us money. And it is one of the best services I've seen in terms of fantasy. So go for it if you want.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this as well. The reason I love Alphadraft, it's not for all the reasons you've just listed, Duncan. Reason I love Alphadraft, and I'm proud to work on a show that they sponsor, even if they don't sponsor me directly. The reason I'm proud is they never interfere. We have complete dictate over what goes out. We talk about what we want, when we want, how we want. And if that matters to you, you should sign up to alphadraft.com. Fuck it, maybe you don't sign up to the website. Write them an email at least saying, you know what? You let Richard Lewis and Duncan Shields go fucking ham. And right now, more than anything, we need ham. So there you go. Anyway, it's been wonderful to do it by the numbers. Me and Duncan are off to Sevo. We'll see you out in the States. Can't wait to do another event with amazing talent. And I think, if I'm right, was it 7 out of the 8 teams at this finals were at this major? Is that right? Am I close? Up in the A major.
A bunch of them must have been because it's like VP, Navi, Luminosity, etc.
Well, I can't wait. So, I mean, it's going to be an amazing talent. So, yeah, I'm really, really, really looking forward to doing it. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And we'll hopefully knock it out the park again with the Angels, Scoots, me and Thorin. And in the meantime, until then, hopefully we'll get to do another By the Numbers when we get back. If it doesn't happen, we'll try and do it that week. But thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you on the next one. And until then, may all your drafts be alpha. Peace.